All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. We are, hope you guys can hear me okay. We are in a different location, obviously. We are at the beautiful Glorias in Port Royal. It's actually my first time being in Port Royal and being here. Let me just testing the second mic. Okay, it's working. We got a guest today, so just making sure everything is set up right and that we're ready to go. Welcome to you all to another Sunday Live. Couldn't make last week because of the donkey races. I'm not sure if you saw my post that I put up, but that's the only reason why I didn't do it last week. I was volunteering and my relief didn't show up, so I just kept it going. But we're here this week and we're in Kingston. We're in Port Royal, which is awesome. As usual, please let me know where you are chiming in from. And all right, see, cool. Yeah, we'll do. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Let's take a look at that view, and that's where we are. Kingston Harbor. Oh, didn't mean to do that. We are in Kingston Harbor, and pretty nice. A little bit different from the grill, right? And we have a cool program today. We're going to be doing some updates on what's happening in and around Jamaica. And also, we have a guest that I thought was pretty cool how that I got introduced to him and how I get introduced to him. And he's actually the commissioner of the Jamaican National Tackle Football Association. And he is going to be joining us very shortly here. And that'll kind of be our show here. Unfortunately, we don't have Wi-Fi here. We're using cell phones, so I'm hoping the quality is okay. And then even Digicel, for whatever reason, is not working out here either. So we're kind of just scrapping it together right now and trying to make it work as best as possible. But as usual, like I was saying, let me know where you're chiming in from, and we can go ahead and get the program started, even though we kind of already did get the program started. But let's hop into the comments real quick. Hey, Donna, nice to see you. Andrew, what's up, man? Nice to see you as well. It's the museum open. Which museum is that? Is there a Port Royal Museum? Is that what you're referring to? Donna Bryce says, hi, Winthrop and all of the Throp family. Beautiful sunny day here in Ottawa. Snow everywhere. Looks lovely in the sunshine. I bet it does. Don says, good location near Glorious. Yeah, it's very nice here. Earlier, we just saw some folks get on the pier that you're looking at right there, and they hopped on a boat to go on another boat, I believe, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that they do cruises from here, which is nice. And I guess I have to experience that at some time and bring that to the channel. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get hungry. I already got my soup here. I asked for green tea, and they were like, green tea? What are you talking about? You got soup. That's your green tea. And they're just kind of making fun of me. Naldo, what's up? Good to see you. Long time indeed. Evelyn's on the beach. Hello. Naldo chiming in from Maryland. Good to see you, man. Always nice to have you. Andrew Blake says, the Archaeology Museum, I read about it a few months ago. I don't really have any idea about that. You might just hop right into it. Even's on the beach. Even's restaurant. Even's on the beach. Chiming in from Montego Bay. Awesome. Who won the donkey race? Which hotel or business should I say? I don't know, Justin. I have no idea who won. I was stuck in the ticket booth the entire time, and so they didn't let me out while I was there. I was there for hours, which was cool. I was more than happy to help out. And for those that don't know, that's an annual fundraising event that the Negril Rotary Club does. So it was very successful from what I understand. Seems like a lot of people, I would say in the thousands, just from eyeballing, showed up and had fun. Tons and tons of kids. It really is for the kids and for the community. And so many people look forward to it in the community year after year. Suzette, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Nice to have you. HB, Long time. Yeah, long time indeed. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to have you on here. Once I got to check some messages real quick. We're supposed to have another guest, but we got to see if he's coming. Yeah, just trying to do everything on the fly here. We're making it work. Justin says it was jam packed. Yeah, with a lot of people. I wonder if it was a record breaking year. It was a lot of people there. Hey, Rachel. Good afternoon. I don't know if your mom is with you, but I will assume she is. Hello, Mom. We are here at Gloria's, and definitely shout out to Gloria for accommodating us this afternoon. And I can't wait to dive into some fish. They are well known for their fish here. If you've seen the podcast that I did with Noel Phillips last year, we did it at Gloria's on the waterfront, which is downtown Kingston. I don't think you can see it from here, or if you can, I just have no sense of location and I don't know where I am. But anyway, this is a great place. This is a pretty awesome location, as you can see. Like, it has a really nice view, very cool breeze coming in. A lot of people up here upstairs, and then they have seating downstairs as well. And if you haven't been here, definitely recommend to check it out. I could say firsthand the soup is really good, and I haven't eaten the food at this location, but the other location, amazing fish. And I have no doubt that it will be just as amazing or even more amazing here at this location. So we got to support those who support us, and they are definitely supporting us by having us here, and really appreciate them. And also, it's just a good business. It's a good restaurant. If you are familiar, this is a very, I would say, iconic restaurant. That it's, I mean, everybody knows Gloria's. Everybody knows Gloria's. I'm not from Kingston, and I knew about Gloria's before I came here. So thank you again, Gloria's. Rachel says she is. She said hi. Gloria's is awesome. See, I told you Gloria's is awesome. You can take it from Rachel. Mr. Info, hello Throp, and everyone else here on this live. Good to see you, Mr. Info. E. Phillips, first time viewing. Okay, chiming in from Barbados. Awesome. Hello. Welcome. Nice to have you. All right. Okay, we're going to go ahead with our first guest here. Candice is going to set up the camera, and we'll get going with that. All right, just give us a few minutes here while we set up. Very nice. All right, I think we're kind of good to go here. All right, let's switch cameras here. And we have a very special guest sitting next to me. This is Mr. Jerome Harris, and he is the commissioner, founder, CEO, chairman, coach, of the National Tackle Football Association of Jamaica. And I think this is a really awesome program. I grew up playing football my entire life, right through college, as a matter of fact. And I wish in my younger years and living here that there was a football league in existence here in Jamaica, and there wasn't. And he's really doing some amazing things and starting this program. He started in 2017. I'm going to have him do the whole introduction and everything, but I was just so impressed with how much he's done in such a short period of time, even to the point that he has gotten many of his student athletes to have scholarships to go to the next level and play at the college level from high school in the United States. And with no further ado, I want to have Mr. Jerome introduce himself. And thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Winthrop. I appreciate being here. It's been a long time since I've been in Port Royal. It's changed quite a bit since I've been here last. This is absolutely a fantastic place, beautiful breeze, beautiful people, very rustic. And I was actually looking over your shoulder to see what kind of ship that was, but it seems to be some sort of battleship. But
Yeah.
The place is absolutely fantastic. Ambience is great. My background is I was born here in Jamaica, Mandeville, left here when I was 10, grew up in South Florida, played football for most of my youth. It's in the University of Florida. I played at Florida A&M University. After college, I came back here for a few years to work with my father's company. We had a number of different businesses. I decided that in 2005 that I might want to go back to the States. And reluctantly, my brother calls me and says, "Listen, how would you like to help me coach this football program in Florida?" No, obviously I know most of in fact, all the programs in Florida. And he was asking me, I asked him point blank, "Look, what program you talking about? You talking about St. Thomas Aquinas?" Because that's where he was coaching. That we went to school. He says, "No, what are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, isn't that where you were?" He says, "No, I just got hired as a head coach at university school." And my question to him was, "University, what is that?" Because I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
But apparently it's a small private school. It's affiliated, and it's the private school for Nova Southeastern University. It's called the U School. So in 2006, we started a program there. We actually never looked back. We had a number of undefeated years. We went within 5 years. We were in the state finals. A year or two after that, we won states and won actually the small schools national championship. We were like the 5th ranked team in the nation overall. We were number 1 among small schools. From there, we went on. My brother went on to be the assistant head coach at Florida A&M University. I worked quite a bit on recruiting and those type of things, such as for FBU and a number of different institutions. Long story short, I came back here in 2016. At the end of 2016, we started researching what it would take and if it was viable for football to be done here. We didn't have any qualms about the athletes in Jamaica, because not only do we play in the States, our cousins played in the States. We have cousins that played in the NFL. We have friends, and even some of our more highly recruited athletes were Jamaican-born athletes, and they came up, they played for us during high school, and went on to some great college careers. Some of them are actually in the NFL right now.
Wow.
So we knew that the lineage and the DNA was here. It wasn't a problem. It's
Right.
just if we could get the buy-in from other aspects, like administrative, schools, those type of things. So when we started researching it, now we found that the persons in charge, case in point, the principals, the chairman of the boards, those type of things, the HO, head of departments for sports were really excited about it. They basically told me, they basically put me into a situation where they coined a phrase, and I'm sure the phrase was here for a very long time, but I've never heard of it: the marginalized athlete.
Mm.
And and just like you, I grew up playing multiple sports in high school. It wasn't just one.
Right.
And we encourage guys to play multiple sports because you never know where your niche might end up. You might be a fast kid at 12, 13, 14 years old, but you may never grow again, and you might have to do something else. Or you might be a very skilled soccer player, or you might be a great basketball player, but you just hit your plateau. So we encourage kids to play multiple sports, especially the way I did.
Mhm.
I played football, I played baseball, I wrestled, I ran track. The only thing I really didn't take seriously and play was basketball, obviously because I'm 5'7". And guys don't like getting fouled at the hip,
Mm.
so especially so they didn't allow me to play basketball too much. But I had a lot of fun growing up in Florida, and so did a lot of other people, and we wanted to replicate that here. So when they told me about that, they had a high volume of guys that were soccer players, but they weren't good enough to make the final 20,
Mhm.
or they were track athletes and they were running 11-1, 11-2, 10-9s. And obviously in this country, if you're not running a 10-5 or better, you might as well. It's not happening.
Crazy that you're even saying that.
It's not happening.
But
Yeah.
in the States, that's your
Yeah,
top athletes.
yeah. So I said, but the 11-1s, those guys are still world class athletes,
Yeah.
world class speed. So we started doing a little bit more research along with the Ministry of Sports, through Babsy Grange's ministry, Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport. And a lady by the name of Florette Blackwood. I want everybody to remember that name because if it weren't for her, this would have never happened. Like I told everybody yesterday at the game, after the game for the award ceremony, if this lady is my mentor,
Mhm.
she's my guide. She's that angel on my shoulder that will not allow me to quit. And she always has this calming demeanor of like, Jerome, all right, this is how you do things. I'm 56, and I shouldn't have to listen to anybody, but I'm glad she's there. I'm absolutely happy that she's there because if it wasn't for her, this couldn't have gotten off. So she walked me through the whole process. I actually wrote a paper, a business plan for ISA, Interscholastic Schools Association, Sports Association,
Mhm.
in order to implement the sport themselves. I thought that's all they needed, but I wasn't getting no callbacks. I wasn't getting anybody responding to emails or even the business plan or anything like that. So when I met with your namesake, his name is Keith Wellington.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's the head of VISA. He told me, Jerome, you're gonna have to do it yourself, and you're probably on the right track with dealing with the ministry. So they said that they were in no shape to implement a sport on that magnitude. They love the idea. They know what it's about. They understand. Their major concern was financial. How you gonna fund it? And obviously, and I'm not really scared about saying this, the injury aspect. With that, obviously, we had done a lot of research before that because this was in the height of, CTE,
Right.
those type of things that we were trying to implement this. So we have quite a bit of data, um, factual data from the CDC, at Duke University, who have been tracking sports and sports injury amongst high school athletes. So it wasn't as bad as what people think or what the press tried to put out there, and even what some of us even thought. So that being said, we moved on to the next phase of implementing the association here in Jamaica. We did that through and again a lot of guidance from a number of different people internationally, from the IFAF, the International Federation of American Football, a gentleman by the name of uh, Andy Fuller.
Mhm.
He's located in the UK. Another lady, and it's funny that most of the guidance that we're getting from an all-male sport have been female driven. Another lady by the name of Lalisa Anthony out of Ohio. Lalisa is one of the ladies that was highly instrumental in implementing the sport in the Bahamas, and she gave me an exceptional amount of advice and guidance to this day, years later, on how to do things and what to do. You know, so we got it done. We got the ministry to go ahead and and sanction us as the association that governs American football in Jamaica in 2017. Around 2018, we started doing some small camps here and there. We started training some kids. 2019, we had one of my NFL athletes come down, Quincy Wilson, who was the cornerback at Indianapolis Colts at the time. A very good friend of mine by the name of Twan Russell, who was a former Miami Dolphin, and he was working as one of the executives in the Miami Dolphin organization at that time. A couple of my former athletes, David Perry, who was one of the top recruits for University of Miami around 2009. His younger brother, Daniel Perry, who was one of the top recruits for South Florida around 2011. We had a number of really good guys that knew the sport, had coached the sport, and when we did that camp in Mandeville, we did that camp in Mandeville in February of 2019, and at Brooks Park, we had about I would say 150, 160 athletes
Wow.
out there. And I'm running. I'm a coach. I hate the management aspect. I hate the admin aspect. I just can't. I never wanted to be
Right.
that person. I want to coach, but I'm stuck. And Twan had to grab me by my shirt collar, even though he's younger than me, but he's like 6'4". So Jerome, you need to run the camp. I'll handle everything else and just run the operations of the camp. So I said, all right, no problem. So I'm running around from one end of the camp to the next, ensuring everybody is all right. Everybody's hydrated, the whole 9 yards, making sure everything's on point. For some reason, Quincy comes up to me halfway through the camp and he says, "Coach," I say, "Yeah, what's up?" And I think he's gonna say, "Boy, these kids are garbage. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
He says, "You sure these kids haven't played football before?"
Wow.
And I said, "Not one." Not one. And then me and him start walking back to now Tawan is dealing with the tight ends and the linebackers. They're doing one-on-one drills, passing drills and stuff. So the quarterback throws this really good ball, but it was sloppy.
Gotcha.
I mean, way out of the range of this kid. The kid's name, I have to remember his name to this day, Shawayne Watson. He was a goalkeeper for Monroe College at the time. And this kid, it was thrown at actually Tawan, and Tawan ducked. The kid goes behind him and does this one-handed, what's that guy's name that always does the one-handed catches?
Oh, Odell Beckham.
Odell Beck. He does this one-handed. Yeah. Odell Beck pulls it in, and he was like flat out, and he catches his feet and keeps going. And I've never seen Tawan. Tawan's a very laid-back person.
Yeah.
I've never seen Tawan get up and scream and do the hoopla and the dance and and I'm like, wow, this I was shocked, and so was everybody else in the place. But those are the type of things that Jamaican kids do naturally, absolutely naturally. Especially the goalkeepers for some reason they seem to be pretty good. And there's one sitting right behind me right now that's halfway decent. You know what I mean? So when it came to that, we went ahead and we implemented flag football. But we did it a little bit differently. We wanted to ensure that kids understood what contact was.
This was initially.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Initially, spring of 2019. We had helmets on the kids, like what you would see when my brothers were growing up. They, in order to acclimate the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds to tackle, they played flag football. It was tough, but not. It was supposed to be non-contact. That was never the case. Yeah. So we put helmets on these guys, and we saw some things that assured us not only the kids were tough, they were not scared of contact, and they were very, they were maybe a step or two away from doing full contact within the next few months, and that season was fantastic. Um, we ended up doing a big tournament, a national tournament down in Treasure Beach, June 2019. That summer we started training coaches, and we went into that year with some American coaches that came down. A gentleman by the name of Rob Dubitz that's apt in starting football programs all over the U.S., including Hawaii. So he came down and assisted quite a bit with Monroe and a number of the other schools. And we went on from there into that first year of tackle, which was absolutely fantastic. We Monroe, you know, um, being heads above everybody else, we ran the table. However, we ran into a team that we beat like 35-0 for the championship game, which was Newell.
Mm.
Um, that game was really special because I've always told people that look, the best thing that can happen is if one of these novice coaches, and they were more than capable, and they're just maybe a few months away from being on that level as a great coach because they're better than average right now, and they're very fully committed. These guys down here. Um, we took the ball in a championship game against New Orleans 29. Well, it ended up being um, the game before the just like we did this year.
Yeah.
The same weekend as Super Bowl.
Hmm.
We played the game before the day before. We had 3 carries and scored. So we're thinking this is our wrap. This is done.
Yeah.
Oh man, Newell had a screen pass which the kid dropped and went out of bounds, and I'll never forget the play after that. There's this kid that Newell had by the name of Flyer. It's the fastest kid I've ever timed in a 40-yard, no matter what age.
Wow.
No matter what age, and I understand why they call him Flyer. The kid and we were fast because
Yeah.
I had a number of track athletes on the team that played multiple sports. A kid by the name of Yashan Malcolm, probably one of the best soccer players in Jamaica that nobody has ever recognized. And he ran in pen relays, so you know he's fast.
Yeah.
So this kid took the ball on a pitch and went around the end. And remember we have fast guys. He went down the sideline, and I'm like, what is that? What just happened?
Yeah.
So going into halftime for that game, it was we had a 6-point lead, and we were not used to this.
Wow.
Um, and the funny thing about it, the type of leadership my kids had, because quite a few of my guys were prefects. Those guys that are up, you know, um, disciplinarians and up higher academic kids.
Yeah.
I had about 8 of those guys that were involved in our program. But I don't know why, but they decided that they wanted to do this.
Right.
So these guys are cool, calm, collected, while I'm nervous, biting my nails down and stuff. And I can't believe I'm gonna use to these guys and stuff like that. But like I've told everybody else, the best thing that could ever happen is that a team beats Monroe, because it's gonna prove that the coaches are locked in, the kids are locked in, and there's people out there that can be creative enough, even though they're doing something new that they're not used to. And Jamaicans do this all the time. I think you know it. They're very creative with getting things done. So I was extremely nervous at halftime, but they made. I remember they made 4 mistakes
Hmm.
that cost them deep in their end zone, and we scored on them. So the final score was something like 52-26, but it wasn't indicative of how hard fought the
I
game
see.
was. The score wasn't, because really and truly, if it wasn't for those 4 players, they probably would have won.
Wow.
And I take my hats off to Jason Robinson, who's the head coach, Claude Hewitt, who was one of the assistant coaches, and even more so for Jason Hensel who is the chairman of Newell High School, and the principal who bought into this lock, stock, and barrel, which is Audrey Ellington. They, if you notice, there's a ton of people making noise there. Most of them were from Newell.
Yeah, I can tell.
Newell hires a separate bus for their fans to travel, which
So
is
what Jerome's talking about, I didn't mention before, is that I attended along with Candice. We were at their championship game yesterday at UTEC, which was awesome. And that's pretty much how this relationship got started and how conversations, literally everything happened this week. I happened to be coming here to run the Sigma 5K this morning, and then through another team member, Chad O'Mealy, who's on Thrive Media team, he introduced me to some guys who were part of this league, the Tackle Association. And then I spoke to Jerome. He invited me to the game yesterday. We documented it, and now we're here doing this live stream. I have a ton of questions, ton of questions, because you're starting a brand. Not only are you starting a brand new league, but you're bringing a brand new sport to a country that, for the most part, has never seen it. And I grew up from when I was like 6 years old playing this, 7 years old playing this, and I guess my initial question is, like, when you bring that, I know you talked about Jamaicans being natural athletes and them being multi-sport athletes, but when you bring almost just a completely new mindset and opportunity, how do you even begin to develop the infrastructure for that? You spoke about the student athletes, but now we're talking about refs, we're talking about coaches, we're talking about oversight. You mentioned CTE, the medical aspect of it. How do you even begin to put all that together?
well, the elephant in the room is injury, and I'm going to speak on that first. At the time I was implementing it, and keep this in mind, I started coaching again in 2006, and I realized that the kids were soft. The millennials is soft. It's not even just soft, SOFT. I'm talking about capital SOFF, soft. But I noticed that on average, they're about 10 to 20 pounds bigger than when I was in high school. Same type of athlete.
Yeah.
And because of our off-season athletic training, they were quicker, but they weren't like us where, we'd swim across this bay and be across, or climbing trees or jumping bikes into a 20-foot deep lake and going down to the bottom and pulling those type of things.
Right.
They weren't like that, but they were for speed and agility training. They had that all because we started training them like that. The type of weight training we went through was detrimental to us in the early 80s, mid 80s, going
Like
into the 90s,
overtraining?
because our training methodology was going into muscle and fitness, and that's not how you train athletes. So a lot of us ended up with hip issues, knee issues, me specifically shoulder issues and back issues.
Yeah.
So when we finally started getting trained properly, and coming out of these type of things, we started training our athletes the proper way, functional, mobility, those type of things. So these kids were a step quicker, 10 to 20 pounds heavier. They are not prepared to take or give an impact load the way I did when I was in high school. I was what you would call a headbanger, and I loved it. I used to headbutt walls, headbutt lockers, those type of things, because that's the type of high school I went to. Now, that being said, I was extremely concerned, and I even, some of the drills I gave them were old school, and they were getting banged up, and not like how we were, where we just shake it off and run around. So I had a long talk with my brother one night, and some of the other coaches, and I said, man, I'm real concerned about this. These kids aren't X, Y, and Z, and I think I figured out why. They're 10 pounds heavier on average, and we're training them to be quicker than we were at that age. So they're not, their bones, their connective tissue, it's not ready for this. So at that time, we started teaching them how not to tackle and not to hit. There's a big difference
Yeah.
between tackling and hitting. So we started doing that and curtailing our coaching methodology when it comes to tackling and contact way before the CTE issue started coming up. So I was really prepared by 2016, 2017 when I came down here to not only speak on it, but to show people there's a difference between what, like my homeboy Devin Bush used to do to people
Mhm.
and what's being done now. You know, we're teaching guys to tackle. So the reality of the whole thing is, in order for you to hold down injury, number one, the kid's got to be in shape.
Yeah.
Has to be in shape. And no, if you got kids that aren't in shape, they have no business doing a high level drill or contact drill in no uncertain terms until they do actually get shape. Number two, you have to teach them stance, steps, and how to fire off the ball properly. Once comfortable doing those type of things, the next thing you teach them is where their assignments are. So it's a step by step process. Believe it or not, in the 3 seasons we have had at Monroe, we had no injuries,
Oh, really?
none. And what I mean by injuries, season ending.
Right.
We had guys with twisted ankles. We have had guys with maybe a pinched nerve here or there, but nothing to the point where something was broken, or something was dislocated, or or any sort of soft tissue
And
damage.
what kind of medical team or medical staff do you have?
At Monroe,
Yeah.
um, well, we have a school nurse.
Yeah.
When Rob was here with me, he's really trained when it comes to being an athletic trainer,
Yeah.
and I pride myself in training kids still in the weight room, meaning mobility and functionality training. So that's what we had.
Okay.
You know,
Because I saw some. I don't know if they were PTs, physical trainers out
yeah,
there.
there were some.
Yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them that were assisting.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, one of the ladies, the mothers from DC, she's a national trainer
Okay.
for some of the national teams, but she was in the stands. So if one of us plebes didn't really know what we're doing, we'd just look up at her and call her down.
Yeah.
But some of the guys went down. It looked to the fans like it was something serious, but it wasn't.
Right.
It's just some of the kids not being acclimated to having a bump or a bruise,
Right.
those type of things, and having another bruise being tapped on again.
Mhm.
So more, in fact, I don't think we had anything serious. We had a separated shoulder, but that was, and I know the kid very well. His shoulder was separated from last year,
Okay.
and he hadn't rehabbed it properly. So I knew exactly what happened. The EMTs came out like with a stretcher, and I'm teasing it. Are you sure you want to do this? Go to the hospital. So he's face down, and I said, "Are you alive?" He says, "Yeah, coach, I'm all right." I said, "Where's it hurt?" "Your shoulder." He says, "My shoulder." So I just started teasing him. I said, "Well, I'm gonna have to call your mom, man. I mean, I'm fed up with you at this point because you're really soft." And I'm not talking with the T. I'm talking with, and he starts laughing. So I knew it wasn't as bad. It was painful because an aggravated, separated shoulder feels worse than the original injury.
Right.
So we rolled him over. I checked if it was back in the socket. It was. So we just picked him up, told coach, put him on ice. I said, "You have a choice. You can go with these guys in the yellow bus, or you can go to your sideline and cheer for your team."
Right.
But it wasn't that serious.
Okay, that's good to
So
hear.
it was a good thing. We had one kid that this is his first game, and I call him Happy Feet. His name's Grissom. I hope his mom's listening. Young kid, but tough as nails. So what impressed me about this kid is his footwork. It's the best footwork I've ever seen. Like a soccer player,
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah.
And he's kind of built like me, stumpy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I decided I'm going to put him at fullback for the last game of the year. And his first play, his first carry, was a touchdown.
Amazing.
So I'm like, wow, he was like apprehensive, coach. I don't want to do this. I said, stop it. I mean, you play defensive line and offensive line. You can't get any harder than that. So stop it. I don't want to hear it. Your dad would be ashamed. So he carries and he finally, that first carry, touchdown, comes back to the sideline and he's got this smile on his face. He's almost crying. I said, how does it feel? I said, coach, it feels good.
Amazing.
It feels good. So he had a couple carries later on in the game. In the same area, he goes down and he bumps his knee on the ground. And like I said, most of these guys don't know what a bump or a bruise or anything. Right. So he's out there laying out. So I get out there and I start talking. I said, listen, I'm gonna call your mom out here because it looks like this is really bad. No, don't take her out here. Don't bring her out here. So I said, are you sure? Because this looks bad. It looks like your knee's busted.
Right.
So I said, no, it's not busted. I said, all right, move it around yourself. So he moves it around. I said, how is it? Is it starting to feel better? He said, yeah. All right, get off the field and don't limp, or else I'm going to call you, mama. So he was fine. So those are the two things that happened.
I was going to say, no, I like how the fact that you are focusing on the injury aspect. I think a lot of parents would be concerned about. How do you find the refs for the?
Well, considering I've been hands-on and I actually refereed a number of games myself, trying to be in the process of teaching how to referee. It's on a scale of the first game on a scale of 1 to 10 because a lot of them were new. I would say it's a 6.5 to my standard.
Just to be clear, all of these refs are local Jamaicans.
Local Jamaican guys.
And do they have?
Well, except for one or two of them that had played overseas, and one is an American guy.
Okay, so that was my next question. All right, so do these guys have experience somewhat in with American football?
Yeah.
Okay, and then how many schools have American football teams in Jamaica?
We started off with 12 schools originally.
Yeah.
It dropped back to 10 when it became tackle because the other schools couldn't afford, not the equipment or anything because we supply everything, but they couldn't afford what our standards were when it comes to coaching. Mm-hmm. And we made it clear, look, you need at least 4 guys.
Right.
You can't. I'm doing it with me and Rob Dubitz at the time, which we've been coaching for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And Rob has been coaching for like 45. And it's hard for us to do it.
Right.
So there's no way a novice coach can do it on any level.
And how do these schools find these coaches?
We do a lot of interviews with them. They give us a list of people that are in the area and they try to compare it to rugby, and it's not the same thing by no means. It is the intellectual part is what a lot of people are missing. They see a lot of the chaos, but they don't see how smart you actually have to be to play game. So they throw rugby out there. And I'm like, no, it's.
So how do they educate themselves to be coaches?
No, we have a full platform that educates them from top to bottom.
Okay.
We do camps. We do clinics. How you were asking how many schools we started with in 2022? We started with 16. And we dropped back to 8 because these guys, some of them. In my estimation, they felt like their head was underwater, and they didn't want to. Because when you start getting into the basics, that's one thing, and when they start doing their own research and seeing how many plays they have to know and what they have to know and what they have to do, not only on the field but off the field, and administratively, they kind of shied away from it. So
I guess that's
we ended up with 8 schools this year.
I guess that's what you're saying. You need at least 4 coaches to really support this. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then do you have plans of trying to get back to that 16 or maybe even beyond?
No, we're actually we're probably going to be back there in the next week or two because we're going into 7-on-7, which is a skill-based aspect. The big guys, which we're holding on to. And because we want these guys not to be running the streets, we want them to be held accountable, we want them in the classroom. So we're doing a weightlifting program with some fun things for the big guys. The other guys will be doing weights and skills and drills and stuff like that with 7-on-7. But the biggest thing about what we're doing this spring is going to be the implementation of girls flag football.
Awesome.
I don't know if a lot of people know, but girls flag football is an NCAA scholarship sport right now,
Didn't know that.
and I believe our girls can do absolutely fantastic. It's another avenue of opportunity for our young ladies that can more than likely go off to an institution and get their education.
So, would you say that is one of the biggest incentives for school to take on these football programs is the opportunity for their students to move to the next level?
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing about this is that you're in a country that is. I don't care what anybody says. This is not a track country. This is soccer, football. This is like American football in Texas,
Oh, okay.
right? Some of the best track schools I've seen, their association football team takes precedence over their track team in non-certain terms. I'm talking about like, well, maybe I should Stets. I'm talking about like Pepin. These guys have multiple Olympians running every year in the Olympics, Olympic trials, and their football teams. And I'm happy to say, I can't say I'm happy, but I can say this: they take precedence over everything. So I'm glad that Jamaicans themselves are passionate about a singular thing, which is football. Because it is not one dimensional. It's not linear. It there's a number of different things you can do, and I'm going to tell you this right now. The guys that I've coached in the States and the guys I've coached here, my best players are soccer players. They transition exceptionally well from soccer to American football very easily.
That's awesome.
So,
Awesome.
What was the question again?
No. You were talking about what I asked you, the infrastructure, coaching, refs, that being a opportunity for young people to play in the next level.
Yeah,
Especially like I guess you just mentioned it with the girls playing flag football and getting an opportunity.
Yeah.
How many do you know offhand? How many athletes have gotten opportunities to play overseas or play in the
All right,
States?
the guys that I've had the opportunities, I can name all off the top of my head, is about 6 or 7. Actually 7. 3 from Monroe, 2 from DC, 1 from Newell, and there's a few others that hadn't come through our pathway. This was in 2022. The only person from our group that was able to take it up was a young man by the name of Tariq Buckner. He's now playing linebacker for San Diego Mesa College, and
Awesome.
he's got a 3.6 GPA in college.
Amazing.
And I know for a fact that Temple University is looking at to recruit them next year. So
to transfer.
Yeah.
Is it D1 school, D2?
Temple?
No, not Temple.
No, this one is like a junior college.
It's a junior. Oh,
So he went a long way,
gotcha.
which I would never recommend, but
Right.
he was tenacious with it. Some of the other guys got scholarships to St. Thomas University in Miami, Kaiser University. One was McPherson College in the Midwest, and a few other places. 2 got scholarships to Elmhurst in Chicago. But COVID and the parents and travel, they said absolutely not. The only reason why Tyreek was able to is because he was actually in the States at the time already for about 6 months. So but
no, I think this is amazing. Like, instead of having our student athletes here just focus solely on track and field, or in your example, soccer, just like open up our minds, because we're so athletically gifted here, and there are other games that you can probably just have a complete competitive advantage of and you're not taking it as an opportunity. Like, I even tried starting a running club in the Grill, and it's just like, this is why I'm so fascinated by this, because it was just so hard to get a group of people to change the mindset of being a sprinter and just applying that same tenacity and the same commitment to that, and you applying it to long distance. these guys I think Jamaicans could be amazing marathon runners.
Yeah, I think so too.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. But it's just switching behavior and it's switching culture. And so like I know like in my little own experiments in my little running club, I had to stop because it was just so hard to get that commitment and to kind of change the mindset and to take it slow. So for you to do that with especially young people and to do it on this level and put this an entire league together, like that's amazing. And like you said, you're keeping these kids off the streets and their focus is on something else. And then to me, when I was growing up, like I had a busy schedule. I played sports every single season. I was in this club, I was in that club. I had no time to get involved in anything else. And then it expands your mind, and you'd be surprised to know that in the future of like you're applying certain disciplines that you learned on the field or in practice or wherever have you in other aspects of your life. And the teamwork aspect of it, the resilience, the not giving up on yourself, you build self-confidence, and all these things come into play. And I just imagine, you can imagine, like what would your student athletes be doing otherwise? The kids who got cut from the soccer team, a track and field team, but now they're playing American football and they're going to championships, right? So what would they be doing otherwise without that time? And so in my mind, it's like, all right, you said you're at 8, you're trying to get back to 16 teams. It's like, how can we accelerate that process? How can we make this thing to a point where we have 50 or 100 schools in Jamaica that participate in this? So that's what I think, because like my mind always goes down these different paths of what could be the possible futures of especially young people here. And so I think what you're doing here is amazing. And you have 3 of your athletes behind us. How did you recruit them and how did they become a part of the league in your team?
Well, man, I'll let you want to talk to them?
Sure.
I'll let this one talk. His name is Spider.
Okay.
You know the adage of brother Nancy in Jamaica.
Yes.
Well, he's a complete opposite, even though they call him Spider. But
Yeah.
Rodane Edwards. I'll let you talk
okay,
to him.
Cool. Come have a seat, man. All right, we're having a conversation here with members of the National Tackle Football Association, of Jamaica, and we have a student athlete here, Rodane Edwards, Rodane,
ROH capital D AYNE.
Okay, I would not have got that.
Make sure you tell them about your experiment with the bobsled.
Cool, okay.
We got a bobsled story. All right, let me get the high school American. I'm just trying to get your title right here.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. All right, cool, Rodane. All right, so if you were to start, like, where are you from, what high school you go to, and what position do you play?
All right, I am from Kingston, Jamaica. I am not too far from Devon House. I currently attend Monroe College. I started high school at Arden High. Transferred for sixth form, was playing soccer at first, and I saw American football, and I said, why not give it a shot after talking to Coach Harriet. I'm a wide receiver, a defensive back, and also a safety.
Okay, and how many years have you played in the league?
This is my second year.
Okay. What made you say, did you have any football experience at all growing up?
No, not at all. My friends, these guys behind us, they were really my mentors. So after the football season ended, they asked me why not just give it a shot. It was either that or track and field, and I really just took a shot because my friends were in there.
All right. Okay, awesome. And like kind of going back to what I was just saying before, what do you think you'd be doing if you didn't have this league in all the time that you've dedicated it so far?
Honestly, I'm not sure how to answer that question because honestly, American football has completely changed the path of my life. Right now, I'd probably be at 2 study. I don't think I'll be doing any sports right now after the football season ended. I'll probably still be playing football, like soccer, trying to get a scholarship through there. But yeah,
And how old are you now?
I am 19.
You're 19. And do you have any plans of or ambitions to take this to the next level?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously the next step is college. Getting into college, playing football there while still getting my education in. Hopefully, next couple years, you'll see me in the NFL.
That's what I like to hear. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what's the next steps for you? Like, what is your dream college, and where would you like to go to school?
All right. When it comes to dream colleges, I don't really have a dream college. Hopefully, I'll end up in Florida where I can study marine biology and physiotherapy. The thing is, marine biology isn't as widespread as I'd like it to be. It really limits my opportunities to really the coastal areas of the U.S. So, yeah, hopefully, I'll be Florida playing football.
Okay, so you want to use football as the facilitator for your education in marine biology.
Sports on a whole, to be honest, as you said, the bobsleigh.
Oh yeah, let's hear that.
All right, it was the end of football season, so it was in the soccer season, and Cal really just brought up. Well, he was already a part of the development squad, and he brought up the opportunity of like this new sport. It's actually skeleton. It's not bobsleigh. They're two different sports. So I'm basically like 3 inches off the ice on this little plank. Um, I got the opportunity to do it. You know, I had the speed. I have a track background. I was like, why not? I tried it once, and next 2 weeks I am international doing the sport. So it really is a good opportunity, and you know, you get to represent your island and all of that. But my heart is really still with American football.
Okay, and where did you go internationally for that?
New York and Utah.
Wow, that's amazing. But like you said, your heart is
Still with
football.
American football.
Okay, cool. How are your hands?
My hands are great.
Great.
It-
Would you agree with that? Hands are great, coach. Okay. Right. Oh, this is the goalie. One of the goalies. Okay.
The other one's
Okay.
they got exceptional hands.
You got exceptional hands, coach says.
Because when he was with us last year,
Yeah.
I made sure that Coach Jackie Walters, who's a legendary Jamaica,
Yeah.
I made sure
Sorry,
that
what?
we had absolutely no contact during the spring until soccer season was done. So he proved himself quite a bit, exceptional hands. I think you had 4 interceptions and 12 touchdowns.
That's good.
In one game, you said?
Yeah, one game.
Wow. 4. You said 4 interceptions
4 interceptions.
and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Amazing. I hope you got the game film on that to show recruiters.
Definitely.
Okay. Good. Okay. So when would you be applying for these schools?
Already started applications. I started last December.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is my last year of school, so hopefully, the plan is to be in university by September.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna have to keep you keep us posted on your process. I'll check back in with Coach,
Definitely.
and we would love to see where you are come September. And want to wish you the best of luck with everything, Rodane.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining. All right. Who's next? All right. We're just speaking with some of the student athletes from Monroe College. They are playing American football, and they had their championship game yesterday, and they won the championship yesterday. So big congratulations is due to them. And what is your name, young man?
My name is Kyle Lewin,
Spell that for me.
Kyle Lewin.
Gotcha. All right. So to start with, Kyle, could you tell us where you're from, how old you are, what school you go to, and what position you play?
I am from Cumberland. That's in Portmore. So that's in Portmore. I am 18 years of age. I graduated from Heidel, and now I am at Monroe College.
Okay. And what year are you?
I am what year?
Like sophomore, junior?
Sophomore.
Sophomore. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. And how many years have you been playing?
I started playing flag football in 2019,
Mhm.
but American football. I started last year.
Okay. And again, same question I asked for Dane. Did you have any background, any experience in American football before that?
Zero. It's just the athleticism, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just the athleticism, hard work. Yeah.
Okay.
Zero background in American football. I remember the first time putting on the pads, I was like, it's legit. It's here now.
What about the first time you took a real hit?
Because I was at running back. Yeah, they really when I took the first hit, I actually lowered my shoulder,
Mhm.
but it wasn't really that much. But
Okay.
it was alright. It was
Did you
alright.
get laid out or did you lay out the other guy?
I got laid out.
You got laid out. Okay. All right. All
What was
right.
that detail? I got laid out.
So you play running back now?
Wide receiver.
Okay.
It's vice versa. Wide receiver, running back, cornerback, QB. I'm second string QB.
Oh yeah, you play second string QB.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And how's your arm and your accuracy, your power as QB?
60%.
Okay. Okay. Would you say your hands are better?
My hands are way better.
Yeah.
Way
Okay.
better.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
way better.
How'd you do yesterday in the championship game?
It's not one of my best games for the third season, but with that touchdown, that running touchdown that I got over, I think it's over 35 yards. That running
Are
touchdown.
you 27?
No,
You're
number 7.
number 7. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
the number 7.
You were that was in the third quarter.
Was it? Yeah. I thought
Yeah.
it was
Okay.
in
Yeah. I got
35.
that on the drone actually. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I got that. Yeah,
not
yeah.
one of my best games. I really wanted to be very involved in it because it's the finals. One of my first finals.
Mhm.
But it's okay. I have much more to improve, and it was alright.
Okay. Awesome. And then you have 2 more years left.
One more year.
One more year left. Okay. And then same with Rodane. Like, what are your plans? Do you have any plans to take your skill and athleticism to the next level?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure. I'm wanting to play D1. My dream college is Coach usually went to that college is University of Florida. The
Okay.
Florida
Yeah.
Gators. My dream. That's where I want to start my D1 career.
Okay.
And then pursue to continue my studies in geography because I really love geography. Make it going pro. It's going to be hard, but it's on the track.
Okay. No, you guys can do it. You guys can do it. You guys are gonna have to bulk up though next year for sure.
Yes.
How much do you weigh now?
I'm 170.
You're 170.
Yeah.
You're big. You weigh more than you look. Yeah. Wow. I thought you were like 160, 165. Okay, 170. That's good. All right. And how tall are you?
5'8".
5'8". Okay. No, that's good, man. I think you'll be good. Just putting in the hard work, getting the weights, doing your speed training, doubling down on your strengths. I'm sure
Yeah.
all you guys are super,
Yeah.
super fast.
Yeah.
Just don't take that for granted. Just work on it, and always you want to keep and expand that gap between your other competitors who are playing the skill positions that you guys are playing, and never let them have that over you.
Yeah.
Continue to work on your hands. Like, that's one thing. Like, if a ball comes your way, it touches your hands, I mean, that's yours.
That's
like,
mine.
No matter
That's
what.
mine.
No matter what. That's
No
if you drop it,
fingertips, man. It's mine.
Exactly.
That's mine.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's awesome. You got next year you got your last year coming up. Are you a starter?
Yeah, I'm a starter.
You're a starter. Okay, cool. So I'm assuming you're going to be a starter again next year.
Yeah. To be honest, we don't really come off the field.
Really? You play both sides of the ball?
Both sides.
Okay. Gotcha. No, it's good to get that experience up there as much as possible. Yeah, I guess want to wish you the best of luck
Thanks, man.
in your season next year, and hopefully we'll come back for the championship, and hopefully you'll be there again, and hopefully you win again. Oh, so you scored one touchdown yesterday?
One touchdown.
Okay, cool.
One
It was
touchdown.
like the touchdown though. So
It was the touchdown.
Yeah.
Over 35 yards, like
very
good
good.
rushing touchdown.
Awesome. So I want to wish you the best of luck, Kyle.
Thanks.
Thanks for
man.
taking the time, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Cool. And you all in the audience, let me know if you have any questions for any of these student athletes or even Jerome. Yeah, please. Yeah. All right, we got one more.
Excuse me.
All right, can I get your name?
Dejan Ricketts.
Spell that for me.
DE''Jaune. Ricketts. Yeah.
All right.
Nah, it's not.
All right, Dejan. If you
Yeah.
would just let me know where you're from, how old you are,
Mhm.
what school you play for, and what position you play.
Well, first of all, where I'm from, I am from Spanish Town, St. Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
I play for Monroe College. I am 19 years old, and my positions would be primarily wide receiver, and also a safety. But for this year, my coach has turned me into a quarterback.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
You're the starting quarterback?
I am the starting quarterback.
Wow. Awesome. Congrats. So you led the team to victory yesterday.
Well, yeah, we could say
Yes,
that.
you certainly did. And what do you want to be, and what do you want to study, and what do you want to be when you grow up?
What I really prioritize in my studies would be geography.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to pursue the environmental scientist career path. So far, I'm just looking forward to my goals and achieving my goals.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. How do you think you, if you were assessing yourself, how do you think you played yesterday?
How I played yesterday, I'm quite hard on myself.
Mm.
But I would say that I played all right. I know I made a few mistakes, and that's a part of the sport, which is I'm just trying to improve my craft, improve my art, so that I can be better and even make it to the league one day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where do you? I'm assuming you want to go to the next level and play at the collegiate level.
Definitely. Yeah.
Do you have any goals or dream schools that you want to go to?
One of my favorite schools is actually LSU. One I would really like to play there one day, or
Mhm.
even be recognized in actually any school really, or even Clemson. Clemson is also one of my favorite schools as well. So yeah,
Awesome. And how many more years at Monroe do you have?
I have one more year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so then you start the application process next year or later this year?
Later this year.
Later this year. Okay. Good for you, man. Good for you. Do you watch college and NFL football?
Oh yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Who are you going for today? Are you watching the Super Bowl today?
Oh, that is a must.
Okay. Who are you looking to win?
Eagles.
Oh yeah? Why?
Eagles. To tell the truth, I'm not really Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
I'm not really fond of the Chiefs, so just gotta vote against them, I guess.
Okay. I forgot to ask you boys. Okay, who you guys want to win today?
It's definitely Eagles.
Eagles all the way.
Eagles.
Yeah, everybody's here for the Eagles.
Just watching from where they're coming from to where they are now, it's very inspiring. So watching them win the Super Bowl, yeah.
Definitely.
All right, you guys heard it here first. We gotta. Are you Eagles too? You want the Eagles to win too? Eagles. You want them to win? Oh. Okay. Coach says he wants KC to win.
Suffering and play too long. Go Andy Reid. I'm not even support that team. I'm so important.
Oh man.
Mm.
All right, cool, man. So are you gonna play quarterback again next year?
It's really up to my coach. If he wants me to play anywhere, I'll play. That's why he's even made me so versatile. That's why I can play most roles, because even in the game, I went on the D line and I almost got a sack.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't. So you did that yesterday?
Yep.
Wow. That's awesome. So you're exceptionally talented athletically then to be playing all these, not only like they're all skill positions, but like real skill positions and
Yeah.
with QB and to go all the way to D line. That's awesome.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right. You were D end?
No, D tackle.
D. Okay. All right. Good for you, man.
Oh.
All right, man. I just want to wish you the best of luck in
Thank
your
you,
future
thank you.
endeavors. I'm gonna keep up with all you guys, with Coach and make sure you guys get to the next level. I'd love to have you guys on when you do actually do that. And you guys are sitting at the press conference table and you're like, put on the hat, that LSU hat. And I'm going to LSU.
Definitely. One day, one day.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Sean.
for having me. Thank you for
Absolutely,
having me.
man. Best luck.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Hearing from this, so awesome hearing from these student athletes. Yeah, well, yeah, let's wrap up. All right, I hope everybody enjoyed that. Just hearing from the commish/coach himself, and then also hearing from the student athletes. And this is just, again, an amazing program, amazing opportunity. And again, we have to think, what would these student athletes be doing otherwise? Yes, they have their books, but extracurricularly. Coach said some of them didn't make the soccer team, they didn't make the track and field team. And now they are using those skills in a sport that didn't exist in this country, or at least it wasn't a formalized program that gave them an opportunity to use athleticism and then also create future opportunity for them to be student athletes at the next level, and who knows, maybe even the next level. And so I think this is just so amazing. And again, I can't commend Mr. Harriet enough for what he's doing with these young men, and now even young women, with opening up the Girls Flag Football League, which is, as he told us, NCAA scholarship opportunity that they can pursue in the future. So I would love for everybody to help support this in whatever way we can. So if you could give us like the contact information and how and what kind of support that you would be looking for.
Well, the contact information, you guys would have to probably go to jntfa.org. That's Jamaica National Tackle Football Association.org, jntfa.org. You can hit us up on info@jntfa.org or admin at jntfa.org. Both emails work. I know I shouldn't do this. I might as well give you my phone number, 876-351-1221. That's 876-351-1221. Give me a call and we can chop it up. We need a ton of different things. Obviously, the financial aspect is very big for us. But more importantly, we're looking for coaches, guys that want to move to Paradise and coach, probably someplace in Westmoreland or St. Elizabeth or one of those type of beautiful areas.
You hear that, Justin? They're looking for
you guys can go fishing all day and and hanging out on the beach and all that type of stuff, and go coach in the afternoons.
Awesome.
Just have a great time. What we do have coming up, which is very important, is our national trials. These three young men back here have been invited to try out for the national team. There's a few guys coming in from the States for that. There's some NCAA and NFL athletes that have been listed on the national team already, which the full list will come out in the next couple of weeks. We have, as you've seen, we have guys that have size, they have speed, especially the linemen. And those are the guys we really want to highlight. Those are the guys that are going to open up the opportunity for these young men here. There's one adage from American football: you can't coach size.
Mm-hmm.
And all you guys out there that are in the SEC or wherever you're at, we have some guys that are not only big, but they can run and they can move and they have the intellectual capacity to pass the SAT, be NCAA qualified. Some of them have 2.8, 2.9, 3.2 GPAs at this point in time. Two of them on my team. One is 6'4", 365, and can move. But he'll be here for another year with me. He's only 18. The 16-year-old is 6'5", 315, and he's starting to look like a little bit like Superman. He's not fat, and this kid can run. Runs with high knees on the balls of his feet.
Wow.
Soccer player type kid. There is a ton of these guys in Jamaica. in no uncertain terms. Not just the little winchy ones behind me that can run and catch and run sub 4.40s, but you got some big cats that can actually move and play.
Can you explain the national team? Because I had no idea Jamaica had a national football team and where they play and who they compete against.
All right, Jamaica, we're just developing the national program right now. Obviously, we are part of the IFAF, the International Federation of American Football. We've been mandated to ensure that we put together national teams on all levels, whether it be U17, U19, U21, or the senior team. We are focused on the senior team at this point in time, both flag for boys and girls, and tackle, which will be coming up this weekend. The trials will be at University of West Indies Mona Bowl Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Anybody, it's an invitation only thing, but if you have the proper resume and you have the recommendation from your coach, we'll give you an invite at this late date anyway.
And this is like combine situation?
No. We did the combine last year.
Okay.
That's why I know these guys can actually run.
Okay.
We did the combine last March, and what this is right now is skills and drills.
Okay.
Skills and drills specifically to see how the guys react to certain drills, their footwork, their agility, position specific type drills. So this is at the next level before you get chosen.
Okay. Yeah. And then so after this, are you actually choosing the team on Saturday? Or you're making cuts?
Evaluations.
Okay.
Evaluations.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then when do you hope to formalize the team?
I would say by May.
By May. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
By May.
Can you give me your phone number one more time? I just want to get it up there.
Yeah. That's 876 351 1221.
Yeah. So if you all out there have any questions for Coach or want to assist, like he says, one of the things they need, of course, is the financial backing, but they also need coaches. And another reason to possibly make a move down here is a career opportunity, a career change, a coaching opportunity. And like he said, you could be on the beach during the day doing some fishing, and in the afternoon you're coaching your student athletes and hopefully getting them ready for playoffs and maybe even a championship game. So there you have it, another opportunity and another reason why to consider moving to Jamaica.
Yeah, well, I got one more thing to say.
Sure.
Come back to Jamaica, man.
Yes, I can't agree with that more. That's what this is about. Man, I really want to thank you for taking the time, for being here and bringing out your student athletes here. Thank you guys again so much for coming out and telling us your story. Really appreciate you sharing. And we got to do this again sometime and do a follow-up.
Absolutely. I want to visit in the grill.
Yes.
The worst kind of way. Our friends down there. I wanted to thank you and your team for spending the day with us, more specifically on our sideline. Hopefully you Photoshop me real good, because my mom's gonna be pissed, and I'm gonna give her your number.
I'm just showing them some pictures from yesterday. I forgot to throw these up. But yeah, we got some good ones of you guys.
Wow.
Who's that, number 4?
Yeah, that's that one with the glasses.
No,
Wow,
I got
that's a
some
good
really
one.
good ones of you guys. These are ones I just snatched real quick, so I'll make sure that I get them.
Man, that's
get them to
amazing.
you guys. Don't worry, we got amazing videos as
Yeah.
well. And this was from the game before. Yeah, don't worry, I'll get them all to you.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, no problem. So somebody asked, is this volunteer coaching?
We're trying our best to work with the ministries. What the original plan was, because all the guys that coached me and were, coached me in high school, college, they're on retirement, and this is not a situation where you want a young family to come to unless they have their own business or they work remotely. I keep it real with everybody. If you have a young family, coaching in general is tough, no matter where you're at. No matter where you're at, so you have to have things in place to help rectify any issues. The guys on retirement, no, they still want to coach. They still want to build programs. They still want to be around great athletes. In fact, all the coaches that I've spoken to about coming to Jamaica, they have had Jamaican athletes, and they said, "Man, I'd love to coach a squad of those guys." Like, man, it'd be awesome. So those guys that are on retirement, they're living off their pension. They can come down here. They can still teach, and wink, wink, and they and they can, pocket some money and do whatever they can. That's what we want to do. That has been a little bit tough, but we're working on that with the ministry. So while that's coming around, it's gonna have to be more on a volunteer status, or you just gotta be creative with your income, because the NTFA is a non-funded organization, just like any other association here in Jamaica. We deal strictly with administrative development. We deal with the governing of the sport. We don't hire coaches, but we have put ourselves in a specialized situation where we try to get them in the right position to live good here, and help the kids.
Okay, awesome. No, thank you for that. Still a great opportunity. I think it's an amazing opportunity to really help build out this sport and build out the program. And also, like I keep saying, is give these kids an opportunity. This is another way out. This is another way to get a college education.
Absolutely.
So again, we'll leave it right there, Jerome.
Hey,
I can't
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Young lady, thank you for having me.
All right, we'll do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, that was Jerome Harriet again from the National Tackle Football Association, joining us here at Gloria's in Port Royal, and we'll give you a little view of the harbor. We got a few clouds rolling in, but still beautiful nonetheless. I'm going to bring up the brightness a little bit on this camera. 1 second, and then we have another guest here already.
We're gonna be at the brewery later on.
Oh yeah, I want to come.
You coming up there?
Yeah. Hello? Okay, I am back. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed just kind of learning more and getting a little bit more in-depth information about it. And then I love speaking to the students more than anything else. And just talking to these young minds and hearing about their ambitions. And I wanted to go to the NFL too. Obviously, I'm not there. That's how much I was into football. I thought I was that good, but just life gets in the way at the end of the day, and just life gets in the way at the end of the day. And sometimes you just got to do what's more practical in the moment, and you can't pursue that dream, and maybe it's just not the right time. And maybe it's not the right dream, as a matter of fact. And for me, I'm very happy the way my life turned out. I thought I was an exceptional athlete, even objectively, and even speaking with my friends and comparing myself to my peers. Like, I had natural gift, I had natural ability. So as a Jamaican, I know what other Jamaicans are capable of, and I got that Jamaican Fijian blood. That mix is raw, and it's just cool hearing about their dreams and their confidence. Like, I'm going to play the next level, and I want to go to the NFL. And that's a mindset you have to have. And you really do need a support system to make these dreams come true. And if you don't have it, it's very, very difficult. Very, not impossible, but very difficult, because it's even like affording some of the equipment. Football is a very, very expensive sport, especially if you're playing, any position, buying the gloves, having the right cleats, buying them every day, chin strap, helmet, mouthpiece, thigh pads, knee pads, socks. God forbid you get injured, medical tape. And then you're an athlete, so you want to make sure your nutrition is good. And so that's also is an expense as well that goes into it. And then there are just, again, other responsibilities that you may have. Like, of course, you're a student first, athlete second. So you got to keep up with your grades, and you may have responsibilities within your family that perhaps you have to go get a job. And I had to, when I was in college, I was damn near working a full-time job. And so you had that as well. You may have that as well in terms of having to go to work, and you obviously have responsibilities and chores. And so sometimes you just, even though you have the raw skills and you have the raw talent, you just don't really have the time opportunity to pursue these natural gifts that you were given. And I'm not saying that that's me. Again, I'm very, very happy with where I am and how my life turned out and the dream that I'm pursuing right now. But I just put myself in the shoes of these young kids and these young minds, and they all seem super bright and super intelligent. Definitely smarter than me when I was their age. They seem focused, and even the careers that they're pursuing as students and the majors that they want to go after, these are tough majors. So I salute them, I applaud them, and of course we as a community want to support them in whatever way we can. And I think this is a great cause. If we could get more high schools to have other athletic options for their students other than soccer, other than track and field, then to me that's another avenue, another way for them to get out of Jamaica, another way for them to explore the world, another way for them to get an education abroad, and perhaps they go to the NFL. And as I was saying before, even from an extracurricular standpoint, you can, like I was saying before, like I'm very, like growing up, like I was just super busy and I just had no time for just anything else. It was just school, practice. Then if I had games, I had games. I had different clubs that I was a part of. And then even if it was like the off season, I was playing basketball with my friends. Like there were just so many positives to being an athlete and being a student athlete. As I was mentioning before, the discipline that comes with that, the ability to push yourself beyond your expectation of yourself is just so powerful. And to be part of a team and building camaraderie and the importance of teamwork and relying on the other people who are on your team and know that you don't have to do all the work yourself. And then also know that you are also being relied upon and that you don't want to let down your teammates. And all of these are real world experiences, or to say experiences that you have as an athlete that you can apply to the real world. And just, maybe you're not necessarily athletically inclined and you weren't the best athlete, but again, there are many, many lessons learned that I can say that I learned, that I applied as an athlete, that I apply to my day-to-day, and I continue to be an athlete even to this day. I did the Sigma 5K. I wouldn't even talk about that. I totally forgot about that. That seems like it was like last week because we've just done so much already today, not only with this live stream, but even in between. But let me hop into some of these comments. I can't scroll all the way to the top. It's just too many. And then we have another guest here, surprise guest for you guys. And so let me just read a few of these comments real here. CK Bond 41 says, Throp, I've been in Port Royal. It's a work in progress. It is a work in progress for sure. It's really nice out here. I've never been here before, but there is a beauty to it. It's kind of a different feel. as well, just kind of driving through. I didn't think it was this big. When we were coming on Palisados past the airport, it probably took us another 20 minutes to get down here. And I was driving at a decent speed. So I'm kind of surprised at that. But it's lovely. Chris Charles says that was eye-opening. These young men can reach higher heights. I hope they can manage the health risk. Thanks for sharing this thought. You're welcome. Yeah, for sure. Coach brought up some good points, and I'm glad that they're taking that as a priority, especially with CTE. As much as I love football, I just don't know. I don't have any kids, but I just don't know if I would have my kids play football. I really don't know. I always thought that I would love to see, if I had a son, I would love to see my son play football if that's what they want to do, and support them. But when you see all this research with CTE, and I've taken some really, really hard hits in football, and it's just part of the game. There's like really like concussion type hits. And like looking back, I'm like, man, definitely had some sort of brain damage, or at least not brain damage, but lost a lot of brain cells on some of these hits. I've inflicted some really hard hits as well on other students and on other athletes, but it was just part of the game. And the coach was saying before, it's a different game now. It's a little bit softer, but I know when we were growing up, it was really definitely about toughness. And if you got in that knockout hit, so to speak, and you just lay somebody out, it's just like everybody gathered around you, and like you were the man for that hit. And same thing for the opponents, and that was just a regular part of the game. PV says the kids need to know that getting an education is so important, because not everyone can make to the pro level. Even if you do, it's only the starters that make the big money. That's for sure. I think the focus really should be just getting that education, using this, get that scholarship, get your foot in the door, do your 4 years. If you make it to the league, great. If you don't, you got a degree. That's the most important thing here more than anything else, especially some of the schools that they were talking about. LSU, Temple, FIU, Florida State. These are all fantastic schools. Justin says, CK, I agree, but sports offers kids to get that higher education they may never have the opportunities to get. Then they can become scientists and engineers, because the reality is that most won't go pro. That's it. I mean, very, very small percentage will get to that next level, will get to that pro level. But like you're saying, Justin, it's just a matter of just using whatever opportunity. I mean, it doesn't have to be, maybe you could get an academic scholarship, more power to you. But if you can get, a sports scholarship and get the same education, why not? CK says, Throp, if people have to leave Jamaica to have a foreign education, that means there's something wrong with the education in Jamaica. Not necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, CK, because there are many. I was considering going to business schools in different countries as well. And to me, it's like, I don't think you should limit your opportunities to, say, the state that you live in or the country that you live in. And if there are better medical schools, if there are better business schools that are offered in Jamaica, which there are, period, there might be a better law school or fit for you in Canada. And this doesn't necessarily always have to strictly do with education. It could be size of school. It could be diversity or lack of diversity of the school that you're going to. Maybe they have a particular program that they specialize in. And so all these factors weigh into which school that you go to. I went to my MBA, I did it at Babson College. It was a small school, which I knew would have small classrooms. That was an entrepreneurship that was number one known internationally as the number one entrepreneur school, both for MBA and also undergrad. That's what I wanted to do. And this was a special school, a specialized school that I went to. And that was the number one reason why I went there. And so everybody has their different reasons for going to different types of schools. And maybe those schools have connections with a particular job that you could be going to. I don't know many nuclear physicists that are coming out of school in Jamaica. And perhaps that's what you want to do. There could be, but I don't know. But maybe that's something that you would want to specialize in that we just don't really have, or maybe there's a lot of limitations here in Jamaica. So I see no problem with getting your education from anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be the United States. I know a lot of Jamaicans go to Cuba for their education, for medical school. They have a good medical program there. I know a lot of Jamaicans that went to Russia for medical school as well back in the day. Obviously not now, but wherever the opportunity is, at least for education, and then coming and bringing it back here, that's the key. That's a key in all of this, is not going to that brain drain and having our student athletes, in this case, our students go there, live there, educate there, and just stay there. Yeah, get some experience there, maybe even make a little money. But I mean, we want our brain power back here in Jamaica to help build the country and to further it more than anything else. So that's just my take on it. As far as getting an education abroad, or even me, I got my education abroad, and I grew up there, obviously, but I'm back here. And we want more stories like that, so to speak. T says, TK Bond, I agree. More focus on academic scholarships. Sports easily becomes expletive, and I'm concerned there's barely an ambulance. I mean, how many? Athletic scholarships are one way, and it's just that, to me, a sports scholarship is another way. It's a different opportunity to go there. And again, there are just so many benefits of being a student athlete. I think this is my personal opinion, and not everybody has the brains, not everybody can get an academic scholarship. Not everybody can get straight A's, but if you could say be a B student or a B plus student and play multiple sports, a college is going to take that in consideration in terms of accepting you, because it's better than being a B student when you're thinking about the college recruitment process outside of sports, even just focusing on on academics only. If you have a student that's a B student and all they did was go to school, but they didn't play any sports, they didn't do any clubs, they didn't do any volunteering, and then you had student B who played sports and maybe did a little clubs and they did do volunteering, or maybe they only did sports. That was the only difference between student A and student B. More than likely, that college is gonna pick student B, because they're just more diverse and they're bringing more to the college and more to the student body, and colleges look for that diversity because that's also part of the college experience. If you had a college just full of just only people who just did academia, it's just like, what are you offering your students in terms of the different types of people that they meet and interact with? And I think that's one thing that I would say that I had is a very diverse upbringing, not only in like high school and elementary school, but when I went to university and also in my MBA, is that the diversity of the backgrounds of the students were just so amazing. When I was in my MBA program, there was one dude, I'm not gonna mention name, but he was in the NFL. He played for the Patriots. He won multiple Super Bowl rings, and he was doing his MBA. In my class, I had a Marine, and his wife was a active duty, and she got while he was doing his MBA, I forget where she got sent to, but she was a helicopter pilot. And it's just like the diversity of the student body. You just learn like so much from your fellow classmates and their backgrounds. And to me, being a student athlete is a very important part of the makeup of a diversified student body. And so I think there's just a lot of merit in that. Man, a lot of comments here. I'm going to start breezing through them. Sorry, guys. Dewey Jones, we got our guest here waiting. Dewey Jones says, hey, Throp, it's good to see the young athletes broadening their horizons and exploring American football as an option and opportunity to study. Please emphasize how much cross-training in multiple sports. Yeah, cross-training is just so important, I think. And again, it's more diversity. Like your brain is working in different ways as opposed to like being, if you were just say a track athlete, if you're just a track athlete and you're just running in just a straight path, right? In a linear path, as opposed to, being a football player where you have to think like a chess player, especially the young man here was a goalie turned into a quarterback. Do you know how smart you have to be a great quarterback? You're thinking you have to learn offense and defense, learn the defense of the opponent, and you have to have the brain of a chess player. And the best quarterbacks there are usually the smartest people on the field, because they have to put in so much more work than all of the other athletes on their team, because a wide receiver just has to focus on catching in the ball and their play. Of course they study defense a little bit, but like the quarterback has to learn everything. I could go on and on about this. So let me just kind of keep going through the comments here. Sorry, I get caught up on this thing. And this is football is something that I am especially passionate about. Let's keep going here. Albert Lewis says, great show, watching from Coconut Creek, Florida. Awesome. Justin D says, I got my drinks and grocery was packed. Heading to my Super Bowl party now. I'm going to keep listening while I'm driving. Awesome. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate the support. Man, I got kind of a cold here. Ran with it this morning. It's probably why I didn't do too well. I came in 5th, by the way. I don't think I mentioned this. I came in 5th today at the Sigma 5K, which is actually 5.5K, which was a lot of fun. We'll get into that probably later in this week, maybe. Shayna Love Coaching. How you doing, Shayna? Cuba has great medical schools. Yep. He's right about that. Pete V says, I hope more sports programs can come out in high school and middle school stage, something to keep the kids busy and off the street. Where can they learn focus? Where they can learn focus and discipline. Agreed with that. Albert Lewis says, Jamaica is unable to provide educational opportunities, thus as sports, and facilitate our youngsters to attend colleges and universities abroad. Great. I agree with that. Smithy Anthony says, Upness Maji. Appreciate that. Ready? Yep, let's do it. Okay, we got our guests. We're going to flip to the other camera real quick. Candice is going to adjust the camera. All right. Hold that there. All right. Can you guys, I'm going to have you guys, before we bring our guest on, can you guys give us a guess who it might be before we do the camera change? And while we look at the beautiful, beautiful Kingston Harbor, what a view, I have to say. This is pretty amazing to be here at glorious Port Royal and to have this view. It's pretty, I wouldn't say it's packed here. It's pretty packed. There's only 2 tables left. I'm kind of looking around. And so this is super popular. A lot of people come here for lunch and now moving into dinner. And all day today, there's people just moving in and out, enjoying themselves. A nice family environment, nice music. I'm not sure if the mics are picking it up. I hope not, so we don't get demonetized. But they're playing some nice music in the background. And like I said, a nice cool breeze passing through. And some nice food. The food looks amazing. I can't wait to get into it after we finish up here. All right, we have a few guesses as to who people are guessing who's the special guest here. So we have one guest is Usain Bolt. No, keep going. The other is my dad. No, my dad is not here. My dad is back in Negril. No, we're gonna have to. Okay. My dad is back in Negril. Another guest is Shelly-Ann. She was at the Sigma run this morning, but no, she's not here. I'll give you a hint. He was a guest on the show before. So I'm not gonna keep you guys hanging here. And it is, thank you, Noel Phillips.
Hello,
Welcome to the pod. Welcome to the pod. Oh, we're gonna.
Nobody got it right.
Move up to the mic for me. Yeah. Got it. You're gonna have to move a little bit closer to the mic.
Good afternoon, everybody.
No, way closer.
There
you go.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. We got you. Oh, thanks for joining, Noel. Let me. Oh wait, Donna got it. Noel.
There you go.
All right, hold on. Let me get your banner up here. How you been, man?
I've been good. I've been really good.
In the mic, yeah.
Yeah. I've been really good. I'm in Kingston, so it don't get better than that.
Hold on. Sorry, just getting his name tag up here. I spelled that right? All right, cool. All right, so for those that don't know, this is Noel Phillips from Valerie Levy and Associates, and he's been on the podcast before. We've done multiple Kingston real estate videos together here about a year ago, as a matter of fact. He was also a guest speaker at ThropX 2022, talking about the real estate market throughout Jamaica, but mainly focused here in Kingston. And I thought it was only appropriate for him to join today as we were doing the live stream here in Port Royal. And he's the one who got us the connection at Gloria's on the waterfront, where we did the podcast, our first podcast together. So it's only appropriate that we're doing it here at Gloria's in Port Royal. And once again, Noel, it's a pleasure to welcome you back to the show.
It's always a pleasure to be here, man.
So if you guys have any questions on real estate or anything like that, just get them in the comments and we'll try our best to get to them. Right now, I guess to start with, I just don't want to assume that everybody knows you. So if you can just give us a background on yourself, and then we can go from there.
So again, my name is Noel Phillips, and I am a realtor or practicing real estate agent, and I've been in the industry about 10 years now. I'm based in Kingston. I was born and grew up in Kingston, but obviously Jamaica is such a small nation geographically that I operate for the entire island. Real estate is, a really fun industry to be in, especially now. Like, it's really exciting to be in real estate and the growth and the development of the country and seeing what's happening in the industry, kind of wealth creation that real estate is seeing over the last couple of years. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, awesome. So like I mentioned before, like I was here about a year ago. We visited a ton of different properties, and this was obviously post-COVID, but pre-recession doom and gloom that we find ourselves in here right now, right? And is the level of energy and excitement the same, higher, lower? If you can give us a feel of the optimism that we were feeling a year ago, is it still the same, or how might it changed?
Essentially, like if we were to go back, especially to that first video, like all of the predictions that we made 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, like they're all actualized or actualizing now, like they're coming to fruition. For instance, I remember when we did the first interview, or the first video that we did was at the Vineyards. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yep, of course.
No, at the Vineyards at the time, the units were, I think, 17 million to 19 million. The same units now are just a handful of units left, and those units are now $24 million.
Oh my!
Remember that the first set of people who went up bought at 16 million.
Yeah, yes.
So the complex took about it was supposed to be a year and a half because of the logistic issues with getting stuff in. It's going to take probably about 1 year, 8 months or so to complete, as the new completion date is about midsummer, June, July. But by the time those persons who bought originally actually get their titles, they would have made an average of $10 million equity in those properties.
And we're talking about in maybe 3 years?
Less than 3 years, because we broke ground about, close to 3 years, probably a little over 2 years.
Okay.
So we broke ground. So the first set persons who bought, and I remember buying here really means paying down 5% and signing the sales agreement. So those persons would have bought at 16 million. The second tier of sale went from 17 to 19. And now the last set is going for 24 million. Now we're on the finishing. Like the kitchens are being installed, the bathrooms are being installed, the place is tiled, the pool is about 90% complete and so on. And with that, now the units are priced at now $24 million with a 5% escalation, netting out at about 25.5 for the studio units and 34 with a 5% escalation for the 2 bedrooms. That's netting out at about 36 million.
Wow.
So, as I said, somebody who paid on a 5%, just like we predicted, real estate in Jamaica, as I said, it's probably one of the safest bit of investment. And so we predicted then that persons who had locked in their prices at that time when we do those original videos would have been making good earnings on their money. Those persons are making between $6 to $10 million equity by the time they get title, by the time they get their key. That's really awesome.
No, that's amazing. And you're right. You hit it right on the head. Like even when you were telling, like I was already impressed with the increased value that you were just telling us about at that time, and now to hear that, man, $10 million.
Yeah.
And it was same with Vineyard Town. Has there been more developments?
As a matter of fact, there's actually been 3 new development that has either broken ground since we started or has gotten their approvals and have cleared land and started advertising. Because usually once you go to an area and then there is that initial development investment, then inevitably there's a ripple effect, which we predicted as well. You know what I mean? So there are persons who have properties like the older houses and big lot of land, and they're understanding now the developmental value of it, as opposed to just the value of the old 50-year-old house on it. Those persons are actually seeing the increase in demand for properties like those and the increase in value. And as I said, persons have now come. And other 2 things that changed since, which the government has, and I don't know if it directly as a result of the development that we're doing, but the government has increased the density in Vineyard Town in that general area, which means you get more units per acre, what they call more habitable rooms per acre. And another thing is that the government is in the process, I don't know if it's yet completed, but the government is currently in the process of taking over that old St. Joseph's Hospital, which is now going to be a government hospital in the middle of Vineyard Town because of just the strategic location that it is.
I remember you telling me that being one of the main attractions to Vineyard Town because of where it's located. Obviously, it wasn't the best neighborhood. Let's be frank.
Yeah.
But the location is amazing, and you could kind of see what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years down the road.
Yeah. And as I said, one other thing I personally believe just the increase in value and the amount of persons who want to invest in Jamaica, the gentrification that real estate is about to and can cause, especially in the corporate area and in other areas in Jamaica, is what nothing else seems to can do. You know what I mean? Barbican is a prime location, a prime example. For many years, there are a lot of communities in Barbican that were, run down and, troubled communities. But since the advent of a lot of investment, Barbican falls within Kingston 6. And Kingston 6 is the tip of the spear as it regards property value and desirability. One gentleman who was one of the presenters at Tropics, I will not name him, but there's a new development that is now going on in Kingston 6 that the apartments are going for an average of $2 million US. One of the Tropics speakers have acquired one. I will not name the person, but that's Kingston 6. So it's an apartment for $2 million. So because of that now, it means a lot of the land that was captured and persons were living on and there were troubled communities that nobody had the guts to deal with. No, because, somebody's sitting on $200 million worth of land that they may have walked away from because it was in a troubled area. Now, when you understand the value of the land that you walked away from, persons now have the guts and have a good reason to come back. So you find a lot of areas that were kind of abandoned and run down and became no-go zones are totally being, rehabilitated. Persons are developing those areas and so on. Yeah.
I remember we were on the roof of the Jeremiah development.
Yeah.
And you were just pointing down at these little houses, and they were like 1 acre, 1.5 acre, 2 acres. And you were just telling me, explaining just like how you are now, how valuable now they are becoming because we're standing on the roof of Jeremiah, and then you can see the port, the Kingston port, Kingston Harbor, and the cranes and everything like that, and you're just like, look how close we are. And so, you can see it. I can only imagine standing on that roof now, and then we see what the development is looking like.
And I think there is more to come. You know what I mean? Because as I say, with all that's happening in the world, I think more and more persons are realizing the value of investing in real property. One of the things that we were sharing at the conference was, real estate has been the oldest type of investment and wealth creator and an instrument and vehicle to transfer wealth from generation to generation. Than anything else in the history of the world and the history of wealth. So with that, a lot of persons are coming back into investing heavily in real estate. So I think a lot of those communities that have been for want of a better word, run down and not being used for their best value, are being revisited. You know what I mean? Especially our capital, the Prime Minister has vowed and committed for a full restoration of our capital. And I'm being a Kingstonian, I've been waiting on it, and I want to see it. You know what I mean? Because the Kingston, Port Royal to Kingston, as a port and as a region, is one of the oldest in the West. I mean, we have history going back 500 years. You know what I mean? Port Royal is one of the most known, cities, you know what I mean, in the Western world. And you want to see that come into the actualization of what its potential is. So, so I love the fact that the Prime Minister and this administration has committed to actually starting the restoration of a capital. And we're now seeing some of that happening with the digital building, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, downtown, other buildings coming up, and we're hoping that this will continue and more persons will come to invest in the city.
I could tell you, like, it felt different even driving around last night, and then at the Sigma 5K race this morning, and then after we finished and we were walking around. And I was even asking Candice when we were driving in the car, I was like, are these areas safe? Because I see people walking around, see white people walking around. I'm like, yo, it's like that here. It's like that here. And she's like, yeah, it's safe, and like when you start seeing like these signs of and these people like it wasn't like super late or anything, but it's still after dark and everything like that, and people walking around, going about their business, going to dinner, going to maybe a club or a bar, and you're again seeing the diversity in it. And I was like, this is kind of a good feeling. And then even after the race today, just being in the New Kingston area, it seems like, I'm not saying things don't happen, but it just feels different than even 5 years ago.
It is. And then guess what? There is sort of the effect of things like even, your videos. Because a person's from the diaspora, I remember when we did the first video, I remember a person reaching out to me from California, and he said, Noel, when you're sharing on the video about persons who have not been back to Jamaica, I'm one of those persons. He said, I've not been back to Jamaica for over 30 years, and I feel Jamaica calling me. I mean, it was really a minute with me and him. But I think when you do the videos that you do, it helps persons who have been fed with a lot of misinformation about what's going on in Jamaica. Because I was sharing with somebody who called me the other day, I was saying, when I'm here, if it wasn't a case that I love New York and I go to New York often enough, if I was to watch and judge only from what is going on in watching the news in New York, I'd be thinking they're shooting down everybody everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of the information that we're fed are misinformation. So for like, the effect of things like the crop video and the streaming, and persons get an alternative view and see things that are actually happening on the ground that they're not seeing in traditional media. It's helping, you know what I mean? So I think the restoration has started. I think the revolution has started. I think there are a lot of Jamaicans who have always spoken on the fact that, as Jamaicans, we all feel in our soul a rite of passage to own. Have a title with your name on it, brethren. Right. You know what I mean? As a Jamaican, you need to have a piece of paper with your name say, volume and folio, John Brown owns this. You know what I mean? Every Jamaican everywhere needs that. That's a rite of passage. So I think there are a lot of persons who have, like, even the Tropics conference was really amazing. You know what I mean? I met some amazing Jamaicans. And then if you had not been doing what you were doing, Winthrop, Tropics would not have happened. And the people who came for the conference would not have come. You know what I mean? So, shout out to you and to the Tropics team and all of the persons who kind of came together to make that happen.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So I'll say, persons not getting this kind of information, ironically, I think at an hour or two ago, I was meeting with this young lady all the way from the UK who watched your video, came to Jamaica and said she's a real estate investor in London. And she said, you know what, Noel, I've been watching the Winthrop videos for a while and I want to meet with you. She called me, said, I'm in Jamaica, so I literally just coming from a meeting with her.
Awesome.
So she came to Jamaica, she wanted some ideas about what to do. We went through some stuff, we drove around Kingston, we looked at some properties, and she's flying out back in a week or so, but she said, she's glad she came. because the impression that she had watching the news in London, as opposed to being on the ground, as opposed to watching your videos, is totally different. It's night and day. Oh, being in Jamaica for the last week or so, she's seen the opportunities that are available here, and then she's going back to kind of leverage some of the properties that she have there to come to Jamaica to make some investment in real estate. So yeah, it's changing.
No, that's amazing. Like, and that's the goal. That is the goal right here of just everything that we're doing right now, sitting down, having these conversations. And I appreciate everybody who takes the time out to sit down with me.
Man.
And they, like, everybody who does that they're contributing like in a big way, and everybody's just telling their own truth. And I'm just trying to use my platform and my community to really get that truth out. And the truth could be bad, good, indifferent, whatever have you.
But at least get out the truth.
The truth, right? And so the fact that people are acting on this and they're looking for opportunities and creating opportunities for themselves,
and benefiting. You know what I mean? People are coming and they're seeing and they're benefiting. And
they're gonna make a difference. They're gonna make a real difference.
Absolutely.
I have a question here. You kind of answered before, but Donna Bryce asked, is there more renewal of downtown Kingston plans?
Renewal of?
Downtown Kingston. Is there more planned for it?
Yeah. So as I said, one of the things that has been happening over the last, I think, probably 5 years or so, like before, I don't know, probably before the last 5 years, thereabout, you used to have a lot of properties up for sale downtown that nobody was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But with the advent, as I said, government kind of leading the way and leading the charge by developing new buildings down there, developing that coastal road on the waterfront. A lot of persons now seeing the government leading the way in that. Like literally, there are persons now looking for property downtown, and all of that property that used to be available, they're cheap, is available like zero. It's not available now. And I think just like what happened in New York, what happened in a lot of cities over the last half century, I think Jamaica is going through its own metamorphosis, kind of its own growth, its own rebirth, if you may. And I think like just the other day was unveiled, not downtown, but just a few miles up the road, New Kingston, Jamaica's tallest apartment building.
Mm-hmm, right, yes.
Which is now 20 floors. You know what I mean? And I think, I said, the ripple effects of somebody spending $900, $2 billion in real estate in Jamaica. I don't think these people are idiots. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is not, you don't like walk on the road and find $2 billion.
Right.
So for you to be confident enough to invest $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion in the real estate in Jamaica, in Kingston, these are persons who have done their research, seen what the potentials are, and seeing what the growth potentials are in the industry. Like Proven is now one of the leaders in developing in the real estate industry. We just saw the Guardian building, which 160 apartments in New Kingston that was just finished. And we're seeing more and more the big players moving into real estate. And persons who are traditional and not investors in real estate are moving into the Jamaican real estate market. And I think it's an indicator of the constant positive performance of the industry, you know what I mean? And if you are going to kind of bet on the market that kind of way, and these are professionals who have been investing for years, and they're investing, their own money and their partners' money. So the fact that I'm seeing these indicators, also that like Jamaica's economy has recorded 6 consecutive growth quarters. You know what I mean? I think all of these are just indicators, things coming together to say, yo, we're still going in the right direction. Right. And people still should invest in the real estate in Jamaica.
Do you know much about the specifics of that building? What is it called?
Not yet. Okay. We're kind of doing our research now. We're kind of reaching out to the developers. So we want to help with the marketing of it. But for most of what we know for now is essentially what has been put out. You know what I mean? And oftentimes persons are very, deliberate about how much information is put out at a certain period. But the fact that they've unveiled, it means that they would have been advanced in their approval process, advanced in the securing of funding to do the development and the actual marketing of persons. So somebody would have done a feasibility to determine that, this kind of property will be sold and there's a demand for it. But I'm excited. I'm waiting to see it.
No,
I'm waiting to stand on the top.
right? So we talked about it a little bit on a live stream I did a few weeks ago, and one of the things I was saying was exactly what you're saying, is that if these people are willing to invest these billions of US dollars in this, you already know that, yeah, this is the tallest building now. You already know somebody's looking to beat that.
That's right.
You
That's
already
right. That's
know
right. That's right.
that
That's
there's
right.
going to be a 30-story.
That's
there's
right,
gonna be
that's
a 40,
right.
and it's going to keep going
Yeah,
from
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
And, you know, whatever your feelings are on skyscrapers or these high-density cities, we need the housing,
We do.
one.
We do.
But two, to your point, it just goes to show the confidence that
Yeah.
these,
Yeah.
I would consider, have to be some sort of smart, intelligent people who's done their
Absolutely.
research,
Absolutely.
that they have this confidence to invest at this level in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And this is something that you should take into consideration and just kind of put into whatever formula or considerations that you have of whether
Absolutely.
you're going to invest and come back here, that, hey, this is another data point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see, got some other more questions here. No more questions, more comments. Chris Charles says, I was in Trenchtown 2 weeks ago and saw two white women park their car and walk into town.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I think it is, there's this old saying, a prophet has no honor in his own city. I think Jamaicans more than anybody else would give our nation a bad rap. You know what I mean? And a lot of that is out of a desire for it to be better. We understand that. So sometimes, you want some of the things that you're seeing to stop. You want things to be better. But if you think of all of the greatest nations on earth, they had to go through that period of,
Right.
the building period is never the easiest. But if you think about it though, like, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were saying, like, why is Jamaican real estate so expensive? I said, what do you mean? And they said, like the prices that we're getting now, they're high prices. And I said, relative to what? Because oftentimes when we compare our real estate, we're comparing it to what it was last year or the year before, not necessarily to what another city in the Western Hemisphere is. You know what I mean? Now, if you consider the fact that most of the great cities in the West were cities that are renowned for what they have contributed to the social development and infrastructure of the Western world, also helps to determine the value and the price of their real estate. Now, if you put Jamaica in perspective from that vantage point, you realize that the real estate is not expensive, but it's really coming to what it's worth. Dude, like, we gave best album of the century. So we gave the world Bob Marley. We gave the world reggae music. We gave the world Usain Bolt and Shelly and Fraser. We gave the world jerk chicken and jerk pork. We have contributed to like so much of the social infrastructure of the West that we have contributed to entertainment and sports and food. Like, we're as important as Paris and New York and and London. And I dare to say all of that because if you look on Jamaica from that perspective, you understand that real estate is supposed to be 200 and 300 and 400,000 US dollars and $1 million US dollars for an apartment because Jamaica is that important. Because if you were to take away all that we have added to the Western world and the Western music and a lot of other things, you would lose a lot. So from that perspective, if you're coming to Jamaica, when you're buying real estate in Jamaica, you're buying a little piece of all of this, you know what I mean? And hence, I think we are worth what we're asking and more.
No arguments there, man. No arguments. And I never looked at it that way in terms of what we as a country, small little island, have contributed to the
Absolutely,
world.
man.
And you're damn right. We are just as important as New York and Paris and all these big cities. And I do agree, and I could speak to the perspective of Negril, and especially when I speak to other Negril hoteliers specifically, is that when we look at even room rates and you look at what we have to offer as a resort town, and we are not getting the value that we deserve. We're just not at this point.
Not.
And when you say, like, I would say, as it is, if you are comparing us to, say, I always use Bali and Colombia, Medellin, like these as examples. Like, Jamaica shouldn't be compared to those places. Those places are really, really dirt cheap, and there are elements to those countries and cities that that can afford them to charge these cheap prices. But when you look at the real value, the real market value of what these places can bring to the table compared to Jamaica, is just, again, I have to agree, like, we haven't really come to the table to the point where we're getting the real value.
Yeah.
And when you bring it back to real estate, I think the same thing. When you look at it, again, I'm thinking the Grill Beach property. It's relatively cheap. I want to say it's relatively cheap, and I think we're just kind of, as you tell me about like places like the Vineyards, and I can only imagine. Well, you were alluding to that place at Kingston 6. I mean, these things are just going to keep getting higher.
They are.
Keep getting higher.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rachel says, you remember Rachel from TopX.
Yeah.
She says,
Hi, Rachel.
She says, you're wicked with the info, though. All right. Albert Lewis says, one problem I see coming is the majority will not be able to afford these new solutions. What's to be done to accommodate these people?
So, there's some things that I personally am lobbying for, and I try to voice it every time I get the opportunity. Like, most of Kingston is at one zone. And a lot of our development orders are old, in my opinion, and not only old, a lot of them are old-fashioned. So one of the problems that we're currently having, and why the prices are so expensive relative to the affordability of persons who are living in the city and working in the city, is the density. And I think the density is really, really low, even in the areas that we consider high compared to what it was before. For instance, I believe that there need to now be areas in the corporate area that are allowed to develop without parking allocation. So, like if you're developing in the middle of New Kingston on Halfway Tree Road, anywhere that public transportation is easy to come by, then you should be able to maximize the amount of units that you can get on smaller lots. Like every city does that. Like if you're developing in the middle of Paris, in the middle of New York, downtown Brooklyn, then on a quarter acre and 10,000 square foot of land, you could build 80 units. You know what I mean? You build right out to the sidewalk. So I think the problem is that because boom is now happening and the density is so low, it means that for a developer to be profitable, he has to building so few units on the amount of land that he's given. It's just mathematics. So it's not somebody wants to sell the property for $200-300 US. It's just the mathematics. If you have a half acre and you're only allowed to build 20 units, inevitably you come to those prices.
So you're saying if there was essentially more inventory,
increase the density,
right,
and then create zones that like Freeport housing zones.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, we have zones in the city, commercial zones, that once you're bringing in equipment or raw material to build in those zones, then it's duty free. We need to do that for housing.
Right.
So we create like Vineyard Town, like anywhere in Kingston 3, Kingston 4, parts of Kingston 5, that developers who are building in those areas and are helping with the gentrification of those areas, allow them duty-free imports. You know what I mean? Incentivize those persons and then increase the density. Like if you live in some of those areas where you're almost walking distance from work, then you probably don't need to buy a car. You don't need, 11,000 square feet of land for parking alone. And I think what that will do, that will decrease the amount of person in the city who needs to drive, and it will increase the amount of units that are available on any lot, and hence reduce the price. There are other things that we can do, but as regards, that's one of the things that I think the government is able to do right now that will help to see the price per unit decreasing for especially the middle working class persons in the corporate area.
I think that's a good point, and I would like to think that the government is thinking about that and also making a priority, because you do hear about a lot of these housing developments happening throughout the country. I just don't know the specifics on what is being.
A lot of the housing development, which is good too, a lot of them, the NHT type developments, are more on the outskirts of the city. So you find a lot of them happening in St. Catherine, You know, a good hour, 2 hours outside of New Kingston, downtown Kingston. But when you're forced to commute, a lot of those persons, especially who live in some parts of St. Catherine, have to wake up like 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning to get to Kingston. Because of that, it makes commuting really difficult. Now, if we allow the same kind of developments that are happening in St. Catherine to happen actually in the city, you know what I mean? And done at a rate, subsidized in such a way that the average working class person can have, somebody who's leaving college then can have a starter apartment and it's affordable through NAT because it's subsidized, because it's in a residential free zone area. Once we have stuff like that, then it will add to the mix because sometimes, the amount of money that is spent on commuting to an affordable home and back to work, sometimes it's hundreds of millions of dollars a year. You know what I mean?
And speaking of commuting and road structure, are there? I know there are further improvements and plans in place. Is there anything exciting that is coming on board that you can tell us
Well,
about?
one of the things that I'm happy for, and I'm glad that the government is doing, is that the leg of highway from Maypen in Clarendon all the way out to Manchester, that because the highway, that's north coast, south coast, the old harbor bypass highway, I don't remember, Highway 2000.
Yeah.
Originally, that was from Kingston, from Ferry to Old Harbor, and then it was from Ferry to Maypen. So a lot of the people who are living in Manchester and St. Elizabeth would have to come through the old road, get to Maypen and then get to Kingston. So now with the road continue, originally I think plan was to get it all the way out to Manchester. So that being completed, I'm happy about that. The other thing is the road from Kingston to Portland via St. Thomas it's progressing. It's taking way too long, but it's progressing. I think that's going to open up a lot of opportunities too. A lot of people don't know that you have some of the nicest oceanfront properties in the country in St. Thomas, but it was one of those almost unexplored parishes.
So with that, what would the commute to Kingston be like?
Huh?
With that new highway, what would commute to Kingston be like?
So it comes all the way to the roundabout at Harborview. So from Harborview to St. Thomas to Portland.
And how long would that take?
I don't know, but way shorter than it is now. Like the junction, whoa,
Yeah.
Lord. But it's had some pitfalls. I don't know what's going on. It should have been complete already. But it would be so Portland traditionally has never been a nice drive to Portland. Portland is one of those places that is a beautiful parish. It's probably our most beautiful parish.
Yeah.
But to get to Portland, you have to plan it like a month in advance and condition your mind to drive. So, like that road being completed now, I think it will add to the commute to Portland. And then not only that, but I think it will open up also a lot of potential for affordable housing along the St. Thomas corridor.
Gotcha. So do you see a future where people live there and work in Kingston?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. Like I don't know what's going to happen when it opens up, but I don't want Portland to be spoiled. That's the only thing I don't want. I don't want Portland to have big all-inclusive resort. Like travelers. I think Portland is fit to intimate small properties like that where people interact with the local and interact with the environment. Portland has always been that. And I think a lot of the persons who live and work and own property in Portland want it to remain that way.
Right.
But definitely it will make the commute to Portland easier, to St. Thomas easier, and hence development in those areas will increase.
All right, so we have a question from Janizel. They say, do you have any recommendations for areas in St. Thomas for expats?
For expat,
Yeah.
St. Thomas is wide open. So it's essentially depending on what you're looking for. So St. Thomas has, there's a new property that we just started advertising that just broke ground. That is going to be it's like about half an hour from Harborview. So there's a new gated community. I think the first phase about 200 homes, and it'll be overlooking the sea, and it's really beautiful, So it depends on what you're looking for, but St. Thomas is wide open because one of the things with the young lady that I met with today, which a lot of the persons who are coming back to Kingston, coming back to Jamaica looking for, is actually farming communities. So there are persons who are looking not necessarily to a litigated community or a small house on the sea, but they want to live way inland. You know, somebody wants to live a really green, fresh air, country lifestyle. So there's also the opportunities of that, the properties that you can get. So it really depends on what you're looking for. But as I said, as a parish, St. Thomas is wide open. So there are a lot of recommendations. If you let me know what you're looking for, then I can always tell you what I recommend.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so a couple comments here, and we can kind of get into them. So I'll read a bunch of them. Mr. Info says, I do agree with Noel, but good schools, medical, and low crime are also important to home values. Anne-Marie B says, I've thought about moving back, but the healthcare and cost of properties, and not to mention the crime. Mr. Info says, it's hard to pay $500,000 for a house without having safety, good schools, and medical facilities. Mr. Info also says, it's going to take more than jerk chicken and Bob Marley to make more professionals move to Jamaica. Right. So I'll kick it off and then I'll let you go. So I say to that is that, or you're saying, Mr. Info, and I forget who's the other person that made the comment. Like, these are real challenges that Jamaica faces. No question, no doubt. Nobody's hiding from that. At least we aren't. And this is a harsh reality. And as Noel mentioned before, we are in, I would say, the teething process of creating a greater and better Jamaica. And I truly believe that we are on the path to success and the path to prosperity. And it is not to the point, this is my personal opinion, these things that you mentioned, it is not to the point that I think if that you are a person who is considering investing here and you have the means to do so, these things and challenges are not to the point where it should detract you from doing so. And again, we've just brought you many, many examples of not 500,000, but billions of dollars that are coming into the country, where people who have a lot more resources, not just financial resources, but human resources, educational, reporting resources than we have. And they are seeing something in this country that we call our home, and in this country that we call ours, that we perhaps may not see, or you perhaps may not be seeing at this point in time. And if you are going to wait till everything is perfect, which it will never be, as far as I know, there are very few places that all there is unicorns, rainbows, and cotton candy. And I don't mean to be like, I'm not trying to patronize you or anything like that. I'm just saying, where is there a perfect country or a perfect world that you live in, and is a perfect time to invest in the perfect place to put your money? And to me, there's an element of picking your poison. There's an element of not trying to time the market, so to speak. And then, every person has their own appetite for risk, and every person has their own appetite for investing. And again, I don't really believe that Jamaica is, with its challenges, is at a point where you should say, I'm not moving here, or I'm not investing here. And I think if that's your attitude, and you just shut that down completely, that you could be missing out, or you are missing out on some real amazing opportunities. And again, if you're going to wait to 5 or 10 years, where I don't know what your threshold for crime is, I don't know what your threshold for having proper medical facilities is, it's going to become far more, you won't be able to afford it. And to me, it's like, get in now. And I think, again, there are billionaires who are living here, who are investing here. There are 100 millionaires who are living here, who are investing here, who call this place their home. There are many people who live here that could be anywhere in the world. They could choose anywhere in the world to live, but they choose to stay right here in Jamaica and call Jamaica their home. And when you look, and to me, if you're looking at my position and using me as an example, somebody born and raised in the United States, I moved here at 22 after undergraduate school to pursue an opportunity of joining my family hotel business, and I chose to stay here. I went back, did 4 years in Jamaica with my family business, went back, got my MBA, grad school. Then after finishing that, I purposely got my MBA so I can move back, use my education that I received, the network that I built to come back and make my business better for myself and for my family and for my country. And I saw that. I saw the value. I saw the value in coming back here. And did I have opportunities in America and New York? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the way I also look at it now, and it was hard to see at the time of 22. I always talk about the FOMO that I was having of my friends and their jobs and going to happy hour and doing all of these young people stuff in the city in New York. That's a great time to be in New York. But I also look at it now when I have this FOMO that comes in every now and then, is that I am lucky enough to say that I'm out of the matrix. What I mean by that is that like I'm not caught up in that system, and I'm not trying to talk down if you are in that system. It is also a great system to be a part of, into having a mortgage, having where these nice places and being in a first world country and being able to stand in line and get things done quickly at a grocery store, at a bank, having good public transportation, all that great stuff. It's amazing, but you pay for that. You pay for that in different ways, and sometimes you may pay for that with your insanity. You may pay for that with high levels of stress. You may pay for that with not being able to spend more time with your family. You may be paying for that with only getting 2 weeks of vacation per year. There's different ways to pay for these luxuries and for these first world amenities that you have. So, and that's what I mean by, you have to pick your poison. And I do like my life that I have here. Am I giving up stuff by being here that I would perhaps have in the States? Sure. But like when I weigh my options and I look at my peers who are the same age as me, who have the same education or maybe even better education than me, they're probably making more money than me. There's probably no doubt about it. But when you look at the lifestyle that I have and that sort of thing, like I'll choose my lifestyle, and I like it here better. I'm very happy and proud to call Jamaica my home. I'm very happy and proud to be part of the progress that is being made. And hopefully I can say that I am part of the contributing aspects of the direction that the country is going in. And I would like to continue to be a part of that. So my point here, Mr. Info, is really to encourage you to broaden your horizons in terms of how you look at this, and to like not shut your mind down with the opportunities that do exist here. And then keep in mind that there are many people that don't have to be here, but they're choosing to be here, and there are many good reasons they are doing that. Long rant, but over to you, Noah.
It's hard to add anything to that, Winthrop, but I mean, I've said on this program before on other platforms that of 7 siblings, my baby sister and I are the only 2 in Jamaica. So I'm in Jamaica by choice, you know what I mean? And it's not because I couldn't be in the United States, but I live in paradise. I say that all the time, you know what I mean? I mean, look where we're having dinner, by Port Royal, just by the sea, you know what I mean? So, like, from that perspective, and you hit the nail on the head, it's what you're willing to settle for or picking your poison. It's not to say that Jamaica, we don't have issues here. I mean, crime is an issue as regards medical facilities and so on, but we're still in the developmental stage of our nation. I mean, we're a young nation. And sometimes I see people come on platforms like this and they are comparing us to nations that are 500 years old. You know what I mean? I have a friend of mine who, when I was younger, and he's a Scottish guy, and big up Andrew if you're watching. And I remember at a Toastmasters meeting that we were in, persons were talking about the crime and, Jamaica not being ready for independence when it did get independent. And he came with a totally different perspective. He said, what was the state of all of those nations that you're comparing Jamaica to when they were 50 years old, when they were, in their 40s? So there's a natural process of growth, just like there's a natural process of biological growth and cognitive development. There's a natural process of national growth and development. But outside of all the issues that we have, you made a very important point. Like, I mean, just a few weeks ago, Lee Chin's $330 million yacht was in the port of, I think, Montego Bay. This guy could be anywhere in the world. He just finished building a really awesome house in Portland overlooking the Blue Lagoon. So there are persons in Jamaica who literally can afford to live anywhere in the world, and they're choosing to be in Jamaica. So the idea that because we are having the teething pains that we're having, that means Jamaica desirability is any less. That, you know what I mean? I think is not really a valid point. And as Winton pointed out, when we do get to the place that we have really first world healthcare, and when our crime rate inevitably goes down to first world level, then you'll be sorry that you didn't invest it when you could have, that you didn't start the business when you got the opportunity or you could afford to, that you didn't buy some real estate when you could have actually afforded it. Because by the time you get to that state, then, you know, inevitably everybody will be here. You know? So as I say, I'm not, downplaying the fact that we do have issues. I think a lot of the issues that we have, however, are amplified by the media because that's what media do. I mean, if I was to follow the news, I've said this and I've belabored this point. If I were to follow the news on a lot of different regions in the world, you probably never go there. But you go there and actually walk the ground and you meet the locals and you realize that, again, it's just amplified. You know what I mean? So I live in Jamaica, I work in Jamaica, I own real estate in Jamaica. I leave my home every day. I put on my clothes. I come down to the cafe. I have a cup of the best coffee in the world. I live an awesome life, and I would not give that up for nothing. I would not live anywhere else in the world. I absolutely love Jamaica. I have no regrets not migrating during high school when my siblings were migrating, and yeah, that's it.
And I'll say, like, I love traveling. I love traveling. It's one of the biggest passions I have in my life. And when I go away, even when I'm in New York or from an extended trip, I can't tell you how much I miss Jamaica. Honestly, I cannot tell you how much I miss it
that's
here.
true, man.
And I look forward, as much as I enjoy the trip that I'm on, but I very much do look forward to coming back. And it's a good lifestyle, and then there's so many different ways to make it your own. You know, there's so many different ways to make it your own, to find your niche, to find your way of life, to find your Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Like, you just kind of laid out your day of going to get that cup of coffee, of the best cup of coffee in the world.
Absolutely.
You know, and me, it's just like one thing like I really enjoy is going to the hotel and being on the beach and having that first cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Like, I look forward to that every single morning. I get up in the morning, I train hard, I do my runs, shower. Sometimes I'll hop in the ocean before I come. I go take a shower, do a quick swim, and then that first cup of
what's
coffee.
better than that? Like, what do you compare that to? You know what I mean? But one of the things I also appreciate is the fact that a lot of the things that we see on your channel, the voice for those persons, I mean, persons who have moved to Jamaica, who kind of moved away when they were young, persons who have moved to Jamaica who are not from Jamaica, the platform that you give to those persons to share their story, that it's almost that stories that we once thought never existed.
Mm-hmm.
Because, people would almost make it seem like nobody would move to Jamaica in their right mind. But there's the persons who have moved to Jamaica and started businesses who are doing well, who are more comfortable, who are less stressed, you know what I mean? Peace of mind, persons who have moved to Jamaica and have saved their family, you know what I mean? And I meet those persons every day. I mean, that is just kind of a tip of the spear for an entire cross-section of persons that without your channels or channels like yours, a voice would not have been given to those persons. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's for people to understand that there are more to Jamaica than what is on the sensationalized media. And I say that all the time because no news is good news. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if it's good news, it's awesome boring news. Everybody wants to hear, there's an earthquake that killed 28,000 people, and I'm still praying for the persons of Turkey and Syria. But like, unless it's that, nobody's going to stop to watch it. You know what I mean? Nobody, if we had on the news, the highest building in Kingston was just unveiled, nobody's interested to say that. But if you hear that, somebody was killed, however way, then everybody's drawn to it. And I think it's just how our nature is as human beings. But there's a lot more happening in Jamaica than meets the eye. And I keep emphasizing that there's a window that is not going to always be here. And for those persons who don't do their own research, I'm not telling you just to listen to what I say and then move to Jamaica and sell all that you have, but do your own research. You know what I mean? Oftentimes the windows for investment, like what's happening now, and the returns possible, it's not going to always be there. And obviously, some persons are going to miss it, and they're gonna tell the stories of I could have, tell their grandchildren the stories. I really could have done it. I saw that guy on Winthrop's YouTube channel and I didn't, but don't be one of those guys.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Right.
Do your own research, check out for yourself. Don't just listen to persons. But the opportunities that are presented today and opportunities that are now in Jamaica will not always be there. And I absolutely believe that.
Good point. We're getting a few questions and comments about the healthcare system and their concern with that. You mentioned, and I'll let you get into this, a new hospital that the government is taking over and developing. And I will say before Noel gets into that is that Negril has a new state-of-the-art first world hospital, Omega Medical. And again, to me, this is another huge indicator data point that should be taken into consideration. We have a first world hospital in Negril. It has CT scans, MRI machines, 24-hour doctor care, ambulance, you name it, it has it. And so I don't know all the services that they offer. I've been there. I took my dad there to do a CT scan. I've been there we went for, I think, 2 or 3 appointments. Very nice, brand spanking new hospital. I think they have don't quote me on this, I think they have a total of 5 beds in there. I don't know if they have a theater or do surgeries or anything like that, but Negril has a first world hospital. And I think that is huge for the community. I was talking to another hotelier about how they had to use it, I think 3 times already. It just opened up late last year. And I think they used it 3 times already for their guests. And when you think about how big of a game changer is that, especially in emergency, the next closest public hospital to Negril is in Savlamar, which is 40 to 45 minutes away. And that is too close to that critical golden hour, as medical professionals call it, of getting this person to in an emergency situation, getting a person to a proper medical facility within that 1 hour time span. That is just too close. And now that we have that within Negril, within 15 minutes of wherever you are in Negril, you have a hospital that has an ambulance. And they gave me an example of this particular hotelier that I was speaking with. They gave me an example of they had a guest that hurt themselves on the West End at a restaurant, twisted their ankle. Public ambulance picked them up from the fire station, picked them up, put them in the ambulance, and they asked them to take them to the new hospital as opposed to going to Savlamar Hospital. And that was a multitude of things that happened there in a positive way. So one, you get the guest as patient to hospital within 10 minutes. It's a first world, brand new hospital too. And then on top of that, the public ambulance doesn't have to drive 40 to 45 minutes to Savlamar, get this patient checked in, do paperwork, blah, blah, blah. They could be there for 2-3 hours, whatever it is, then drive back 40 to 45 minutes. Within that time span of 3 to 5 hours, whatever it is, there could be another emergency where somebody else needed help in the Negril community that ambulance could have helped. But instead, it was taking a guest that had a sprained ankle, and it could have been a car accident in downtown Negril that the ambulance could have been helping. And now you see that all that time and those resources can be allocated and not be wasted in driving on the road because we have this new hospital, let alone the elevated level of care and facilities and tools that they have there. So I just want to put that out there that healthcare is changing. You're seeing it. Progress is being made. And so I'll give it back over to you, Noel.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, which to continue on the point that healthcare has been changing. And I don't know if some of the persons who are making those comments are thinking of Jamaica that they left 20 years ago. But one of the points to observe is like the Shaggy Foundation that has been contributing, and other private investors and private contributors to things like the Bustamante Children's Hospital. They've been contributing millions of dollars to the development of the hospital and to equipment that the hospital needs. I alluded earlier to the government acquisition of the St. Joseph Hospital, which was a private hospital in the near town, which will now make that the fourth, I think, public hospital in Kingston. So healthcare is changing. But the other thing is that for a lot of the persons who are looking at opportunities to invest, imagine that private healthcare in Jamaica, that's another wide open opportunity for investment. So imagine all of the persons who are on United Kingdom, European, the United States pension who wants to move back home and want to live in the North Coast, live in the grill, and want to have, first world type, healthcare. I mean, health tourism is a wide open opportunity for Jamaica. So rather than sitting and complaining about what's not, I mean, everything that is dire also presents an opportunity. So I think it's one of those things that a lot of persons are in discussion about now. That, I mean, as a business opportunity, it's wide open. But outside of that, like if you were to, I mean, just a few years ago, I had an accident and I was in the hospital for about, I think about 7 days or so.
Oh wow.
And I was good. I was comfortable. I had a television in my room. I didn't like the hospital food because,
What hospital food is good, right?
But yeah, it was a vegan hospital that had no meat, and I'm a carnivore, so for that reason, yeah.
That's
but
the worst.
outside of that, like it was, I was okay. You know what I mean? So I don't know the image that person sometimes have in their head that like, they think we're sleeping on the ground or whatever. It's not true. You know what I mean? And as you pointed out, the healthcare system is constantly improving. The government is spending money on it. I mean, private investors are contributing to, as I alluded to earlier, places like the Bustamante Children's Hospital, and there's a wide open opportunity for persons who are in the medical field and who want to set up, private hospitals. It's there, So yeah.
So I'll say this too. Just talking about like my own injuries that I've gone through here, I have had multiple MRIs here just from playing basketball, training, like on my knees, my ankle. As you mentioned, medical tourism. And I looked this up before. The average cost of an MRI in the United States is $5,000 US.
Whoa.
Average cost is $5,000 US.
La.
So I got my MRI. I didn't have insurance. I was in between insurances, so they didn't cover it. I paid like $300 US for an MRI.
Wow.
This is a multi-million-dollar MRI machine. Same machine, same
That would do it
information.
in New York.
Same.
Yeah.
And I got it done. I know I have friends and I know people that don't have insurance and that have ailments that they need to get checked out. It's like, why don't you come down here, get a vacation out of it, and get your MRI, get your checkups, get it done far cheaper. Yeah. I had 3 torn ligaments in my ankle in the beginning of 2022, and got an MRI. That's the last MRI I got. Paid $300. So I decided to get PRP shots in my knee. So it was between that and getting a cortisone shot. But like a cortisone shot is like it's instant pain relief and you can be up and running. But it only lasts 6 months, and it can have long-lasting negative effects. It can make the ligament weaker in the long term. So I didn't want to do that. So I got these PRP shots. My friend needed PRP shots in his knee in the States. And with insurance, they were charging him $1,500 US out of pocket.
Wow.
I don't think I paid $150.
Wow.
Same exact procedure, same exact thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, come down here, come for a long weekend. You don't obviously have a place to stay.
That's right.
Pay for the plane ticket, get your shots in your knee, go back home.
That's right.
And he needs it, and he's like, I'm not gonna.
And you're staying on the beach.
And you're staying.
You
on
would
the
not
beach.
be seeing the beach in New York.
and then, all right. When we think about chronic disease, which requires prescription medication on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, I have glaucoma. I spend about, I don't know what, I should look this up. I can speak more from a more educated standpoint in this, but I pay about $30 a month for my prescription eye drops. But when you think about the chronic diseases that we have as Black people, that we are preordained to have, so to speak, like with the high blood pressure, heart disease, etc., and we have to diabetes, and we have to take all these medications. And when you look at how much pay out of pocket in the States, it's a fraction of the cost here.
Absolutely.
And remember, we have a very relative health profile here in Jamaica. So as a country, we have to take care of our people, and those prescriptions have to be made available and have to be made affordable to the masses of society here. And so those are also readily available as well. Where I would say there would be, if I would have a concern, I would have been like, it would be like if I needed brain surgery or if I needed like quadruple bypass surgery. I don't know if that is possible here, or they have that here.
They do. They
Okay,
do.
I don't.
A friend of mine had a heart attack the other day. They're private institutions. I mean, it might cost you a little more than if you were to do it in a public hospital.
Right.
But he was out walking, and he had an emergency that he had to do a surgery, and he was able to do it. So, and he's fine now.
I mean, my honest opinion is that there is good healthcare in Jamaica. There is good healthcare in Jamaica. There's no doubt, no question about it. I know many of these doctors who are super, super capable, super bright, good grades.
When you compare things like, the cost of dentist service in the United States, like when I hear my siblings talk about what they have to pay to go to the dentist, it's like taking out a mortgage. You know what I mean? Compared to here. Like it's ridiculous. So,
Same thing with eye care. I get my glasses, contacts. This stuff is like, you don't even think about it. We're not talking about hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, like not at all. And these are, again, good dentists, good ophthalmologists.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go as far as calling them commodities, but like these, you got to think about the repetition that these doctors have in terms of the patients, the schooling that they went to. I mean, these are very like normal things that they see all the time. Again, very, very capable. And I'm speaking from personal experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go. Load comments here. Where should we start? All right. Charles Petgrave says, "Hi, Throp, Noel. Wish I were there with
Charles.
you. Wish I was there with you guys. Don't know Kingston. Please do a show explaining Kingston 6, 11, etc. with some insight in the area, the makeup, and the history. It'll help development continues. It'll help as development continues. Sorry." But before you get into that, Noel, I just want to do again a big shout out, like where we are right now. We are at Gloria's in Port Royal, and I just want to big them up. They accommodated us last minute. They accommodated us the last time that I was here with Noel, and it's been a really, really great day. This is our second guest that we've had here today. Before we were speaking to the chairman, the founder of the National Federation of Tackle Football here in Jamaica, and we even got a chance to speak to some of the student athletes earlier. So if you know anybody that can gain some value from these interviews that we're sitting down with, these talks, please share this video with them. That is one way that you can really help support the channel. And pull up the big screen here. And if you're getting any value out of these conversations that we're having today, please hit that like button for sure. It really does help. And again, if you know anybody that can get any value out of this conversation, even things that we're discussing and information that we're bringing across to you, awareness about the American Football Association that we had earlier today, please share it. That is really one of the biggest ways that you can help support this channel, by just hitting that share and that like button. So with that, Noel, if you can hop into the different areas of Kingston 6, Kingston 11, that sort of thing.
So what was the question?
He's essentially asking if you can explain the difference between these different areas.
Oh, okay.
Because you had mentioned Kingston 6 and that becoming like this new aura, so to speak.
So Kingston 6 essentially is the closest geographically residential kind of suburban community that is annexed to New Kingston, which is kind of the center of commerce in Jamaica. So New Kingston, a lot of the banks, the insurance company, a lot of the corporate offices moved to New Kingston a few decades ago from downtown Kingston, and then Kingston 6 is really annexed to it. So it would be the closest residential community to all of where the corporate persons work. So it kind of developed into the tip of the spear, as it was, for development, for pricing, for desirability. And so if you're looking for a house in Kingston 6 now, and Barbican, in any one of those areas, well, first of all, once it's a community that has mixed use, you're going to be competing with a developer who has cash to buy. And you do have some of the roads, like Plymouth is one of those roads in Kingston 6, that's up Millsboro side, that you're not allowed to do any high density development. Now, if you're going to buy into one of those communities, you're also going to have to pay for the fact that no high density development is allowed. So those are communities that you have to be looking to spend 2-3 million US dollars to get into.
This is Kingston 6.
Yeah,
And
so you have some areas so there's one of those developments like the Spyglass development that everybody's now talking about. So it's one of those new developments where an average of a 2-bedroom is going for probably about 700,000 US dollars, and I think the townhouses go up to about $1 million, $1.5 million. But close to that side of Millsboro, as I was saying, is roads like Plymouth. I do have some roads, sub areas in Kingston 6 that the homeowners have kind of bonded together to not allow any kind of high density development. So the development order will not be changed, essentially, because as Winthrop was alluding to earlier, for a development to be allowed in an area, then those who already own in the area would have to allow it. So it would be advertised, and in an event that somebody says they don't want this, it's blocking my air, I don't want it, or it's blocking my view, or it's not a high density area, I want it to remain that way, then it can be stopped. So some of those areas in Kingston 6, you can't do any kind of high density development. You can't do apartments, you can't do townhouses. In those communities, those are even more expensive. But generally, even the areas that high density developments are allowed, because they're in Kingston 6, because they're so close to New Kingston, because they're so close to a lot of the social infrastructure for the upper middle class Jamaica, those you're gonna have to pay for that. Outside of Kingston 6, you run into areas like Cherry Gardens, Cherry Gardens is kind of Kingston 6 and 8 border. In Norbrook, that's on Constant Spring side. Kingston 8 is now moving into its own development, and I pointed out that in the last video, with the opening of the corridor on Constant Spring Road and the removing of the market, a lot of the traffic problem that was a big issue on Kingston 8 has been corrected. So you have a lot of new development, like a new cafes, new restaurants have been opening up in Kingston 6. Kingston 8 side, that's where Winthrop and I first met when he came into Kingston. Yeah. So that new plaza in Kingston 8. Outside of that, you have other areas that are more lower middle areas, which is Heavendale, Kingston 19, and then Patrick City, which is Kingston 20. But all in all of these areas are developing. All of them are becoming more expensive. I mean, more persons inevitably want to live closer to work. So as it regards, if there was to be a pyramid, it would be Kingston's 5 and 6 almost on par. Then Kingston 8, then Kingston 9, which is Lower Stone Hill. Then Kingston 19, then Kingston 20, and then it kind of filters out Kingston 3 in Vineyard Town, and then over into St. Catherine and so on.
Okay, thank you for that, Noel. Thank you for explaining that. Hope you got some clarity from the breakdown and makeup of how Kingston is laid out. Basil Hilton says, Mr. Phillips mentioned zoning. Has the government leaders gotten wise to future development in developing cities and small towns? I'm curious to know controlling crime and future planning.
Stony Hill?
No. He was saying you mentioned zoning before, and you're
zoning. Okay.
Yeah. And he said, has the government gotten wise to future development in developing cities and small towns? I'm curious to know controlling crime and future planning.
You know, the funny thing about the real estate boom that's happening in Jamaica, it's really being led by private developers. So like a lot of the zonings and a lot of the change in density, a lot of the infrastructural development is happening out of necessity. Because the market is doing so well, a lot of the developments and the decision to develop in particular areas are done purely out of a private developer doing his own feasibility, looking and saying, I can invest in that area and it can bring that kind of return. And then once that developer does it and another developer sees the profitability of it, similar to what's happening now in Kingston 3 in Vineyard Town that we're doing, the deanery. Once one person goes to the area and does something that it turns out to be profitable, inevitably you'll have persons who will follow suit. So a lot of the development that is happening in the corporate area, a lot of development that's happening in the North Coast. I mean, kudos to the government for doing the North Coast Highway, which has made it much easier to travel from Kingston. So a 2-hour commute is now 40 minutes easily. So, I mean, outside of that, most of the development that you're seeing, most of the areas that are changing are really being led by private developers. And that is just out of them, as I said, choosing an area, doing their own feasibility, realizing how profitable a development would be in that area, actually doing the development and seeing it being profitable, and then other developers follow it. So essentially, it's not so much a government-led developmental move as it is just a capitalism at work.
I was just gonna say, and that kind of goes to show you the power that the people have.
Yeah, absolutely.
For you to say that it's not being led by the government, it's being led by, I would say, ordinary people. That putting money together and saying, "Hey, this is what we want for this community, or our community." They put the development in, they put the development orders in, and that's how change is made. And to me, I think we have a great opportunity.
And I keep emphasizing the fact both the local persons who are watching the live, and for persons in the diaspora who are interested, that most of the persons you see coming to Jamaica and investing, I mean, I bet a bridge in the cafe that we talk often, Neville, who, I mean, sometimes you talk to persons who are developers now who are coming from some of the weirdest background, like they're medical doctors, you know what I mean? They were in some weird, far out profession that has absolutely no construction, no real estate background, and they're coming to Jamaica, they get their professional, they talk to the bank, they're doing whatever, they're getting their investors, and they're doing actual developments that are successful. So the idea that you need to have had, extensive background and experience in it is not true. You know what I mean? Most of the persons who are developers now, who are doing developments, who are actually doing profitable development, are just run-of-the-mill everyday Jamaicans.
We have folks asking for your contact information. Is it okay to give them
Go right
your
ahead.
phone number? Your WhatsApp number? Okay.
So my phone number, and my social media handle is I am Noel the Realtor, and that's on all social media platforms.
So yeah, you can go ahead, and that's Noel's WhatsApp number. And then if you wanted to follow him on social media, it's right there. I am Noel the Realtor on all platforms. So you can get in touch with him if you have any further questions, or there's a person before that was interested in property in St. Thomas. You can go ahead and contact him through those mediums. All right, we're going to start to wrap up here. We're almost at the 3-hour mark, and we have the Super Bowl happening in less than an hour. But we have one last question here. It says, Albert Lewis asks, Noel, can you explain why those NHT housing solutions are so square and small? The ones off the toll road in St. Catherine.
I don't know, man. As you say, that's. I mean, it's the world over. You know what I mean? When you're doing, affordable housing, affordable food, affordable shoes, they're not the Chris's. You know what I mean? Like when I used to go to high school, used to have some shoes that were called Lada. Anybody on the live remember Lada? They were the ugliest shoes ever. But that's what my mom could afford. She was a single mother with 7 kids. So you wore your Lada to school. So I think it's the same thing. It's affordable housing. So, it's not attracting the most expensive, stylish architects in the country. So it's out of necessity. And the fun thing is, often when you go into these communities, like if you go in Greater Portmore now, a lot of the communities that were developed or originally developed for affordable housing, NHC development, and you see those everyday Jamaicans show them like a partner and, get Uncle Sam and Uncle Harry and then change up and do them design, you'll be surprised at what they make of it. So the average person just needs a start, you know what I mean? And a lot of the affordable housing developments, they're offering persons just to start and they do what they want with it, Some go the other direction, painted purple and the roof green. And,
Oh
but
gosh.
it's Jamaicans expressing themselves.
There
you know
you go. There you go. King Naldo says, yes, I wore a lotto too.
So you know what that feels like.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so I think we're going to wrap it up there, everyone. This was a very fun live stream, and I thought it was very informative for me earlier with the commissioner of the Football League, and then, of course, having Noel here. I always learn something every time I sit down with Noel, and this is such a beautiful view. I feel so fortunate and thankful to be doing this live stream from here. And again, thank you so much to Gloria's and Tanya for allowing us to use this space. I know you guys are super busy. There are so many people coming in and out, different groups, different families. I know this is a very special place for people for their Sunday dinners and their family get-togethers. As you can see in the background, we got the sun setting there. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So beautiful. It's setting behind the mountains. And then, of course, we have the view of the harbor there, and it's really, really nice. I'll take a selfie. We've got to get it in. I actually got to do it myself as well, because we don't get to do this stuff often, at least like this. So, got to get the selfie in. Here's us. And himself, Noel. Oh, of course, Andy's
Behind the camera.
Yes. No, this was awesome. I can't thank you guys enough for joining us for so long. I know some of you have been with us from the beginning. We just passed the 3-hour mark. You are very welcome. I hope you enjoyed this one. I enjoyed doing it. And as I was mentioning before, if you found any value in this today, the multiple discussions that we had, the multiple guests that we had on, please share it with anybody that you think would find value in it. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button. That really does help out a lot in getting the word out and helping to build the channel. And this is something that I will continue to do and want to be more consistent throughout the entire year. And I also want to go to different places to show you different aspects of Jamaica, different aspects of small, beautiful businesses just like this, just like Gloria's. And we're going to do it in different parts of the country. We have a lot of things lined up. There was so much more I wanted to talk to you all about and bring you in the loop and what's happening with Thrive Media and the team expanding and other things that we're doing, but just didn't have time. I didn't even eat yet. We got to eat. We have the Super Bowl party to go to, so we got to get to that as well. But we'll see about doing. I'm not promised another live stream this week. It's a busy. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. I'm not even going to kid you, because we got a couple of other things going on, and hopefully doing some things with Noel later in the week. But we will definitely be back to our regular location in the grill next Sunday at 12 o'clock. But want to wrap it up right there. Thank you all for joining us. Thank Gloria again. Thank you, Noel, for joining as
My pleasure.
usual.
Always is.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate your time. And we'll